That's good. Okay. I guess we'll go ahead. India, do you want to go ahead?
I guess so. What's the setup?
Got it here. Do you have yours ready? You can read from the book if you want.
I have it.
Okay.
Let's see. Hello, everyone. My name is India. Nice to see everybody. My husband is Christian McDonough. You
That's
may
me.
know him as the writer of Cunus. If you have collaborated with him on the Cunus project, have made any kind of music with him, or have communicated with him for any purpose via Twitter, DM, or text message, please take my words into consideration. I would kindly ask that you block my husband on any and all social media platforms. Unfortunately, he's a very sick man. Those of you who have read his book probably have some understanding of what I mean. For those of you who are ignorant of his true thoughts and intentions, I urge you to take my warnings very seriously, regardless of how charming he may seem. Read his published book, Book of a Thousand Poems, and his soon to be published book, or now published book, Cunus, if you truly need proof of his sinister nature. Why are you married to him, you ask? Have none of you ever before been deceived? I have loved truly and wildly, and I had believed it was returned in kind. Sometimes people change, this is true, but others are deceivers from the start. I sadly suspect this was the hand I was dealt. Christian was so sweet and sensitive when we met. He had the sort of soft mannerisms and delicate sway of a fragile gay man, but he was straight, and this was irresistible, of course. I was immediately blind to any red flags. Before we even had our first date, he sent me a lengthy manuscript to read and review, the dialogue of Late and Melorothus. Instead of thanking Christian for his time and politely declining, as I very well should have, I told him how amazed and impressed I was with it. Fool that I am. A year passed, and innocently enough, he began writing some poems. Wouldn't it be so funny, he joked, to write 1,000 poems? Yeah, it would be funny. He was actually not joking. Christian wrote over 1,000 poems in the span of 3 months. Maybe you're impressed by this. What's the big deal, you wonder? Well, have you ever wondered who edits his work? It's me. I do not get paid for this. I read over 1,000 poems at least 6 times. That's 6,000 poems. Never have I ever cared for poetry. I don't even like rereading things. But it didn't stop there. Christian wrote a whole new book in just 1 month. He ignored me the whole time, and he drank Monster Mingo Locos and worked sweatily into the night. Every night. And then he made me read it. I had to read Cunus approximately 4 times. He was a little bit nervous and insecure about it, which is fine, very understandable. But imagine during every other conversation with him, you see his little face start to droop. What's wrong? You would ask. Through his pouting, he begs you to finally be honest. Is the book really good? Will people like it? Is he the best writer ever? Yes, it is so good. It is so great. I love it. Oh my God. You're laughing at me, I'm sure. You think this is some kind of silly, cutesy, oh, I love my husband and aren't we so wacky little gag. I'm being dead serious. Block Christian McDonough right now or beware the consequences, because this will happen to you too. He will write volumes at a speed you cannot compete with, and you'll be a good, obedient friend and read them all. And to further escalate things, he's going to take you and put you into so many projects. You will be so productive because you'll feel guilty when you think of a sad, pouty little face. Good luck. You've been warned.
Guys, don't listen to her. It's not true. She's joking. We're having fun, right? You guys like me, don't you? Okay, good. So the next project is called Cunus 2, Cunus World Soul Reckoning. Basically, you'll all write your own personal Cunus, get really wacky and intimate with it. Then I'll edit them all together into sort of collective consciousness. It'll be the world soul of online lit or something like that. You might have to take some time off work just to get into the proper mindset. Each writing session has to be at least 5 hours. You'll need to stock up on Mango Locos. And when you write, you're not allowed to stop writing. If you stop writing, you're out of the project and my life for good. It's going to be huge, guys. We're going to be rich and famous. Trust me. Okay, that's it. Good job, India.
Thank you.
How did you feel?
Good.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you did a great job. Thank you. Okay, so next is Hannah Smart, if you're ready. And well, okay, I'll do a little introduction. Um, I met Hannah Smart through another writer named Spez or Reyes. He's in the book too. Um, it was because of the Cunus Response Project. I asked him if he'd be interested, and he was like, "Yeah, and I think this lady would be interested too." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll check her out." And then I DM'd her, and she was like, "Yes, that'd be very interesting." And then we've been best friends ever since. So we'll go ahead, take it away, Hannah Smart.
Yeah, so this is kind of a review more than a um response, but it's addressed to Christian, so I'll read it. Dear Christian, there's a scene in Ken Russell's Listomania where Roger Daltrey's Franz Liszt glides across the stage atop a car-sized penis. His own penis is the implication. Groupies dangle from the tip. Daltrey cackles and moans. Everyone seems happy with the arrangement until a giant penis-shaped guillotine emerges in the distance, at which point the upbeat, only vaguely demonic vibe turns nightmarish. Daltrey is tied up, restrained. He's pushed toward the guillotine, behind which sits some sort of witch slash enchantress figure. Her face is visible through the large hole. But the scene cuts off right at the moment of slicing. We thankfully don't see the aftermath. In Cunus, however, we see the aftermath and then some. And genital mutilation isn't the only thing your book shares with Listomania. There's also a Russellian sense of unrestrained, flamboyant gratuitousness. The novel feels sinisterly trippy. The logic that moves us between scenes and chapters isn't always clear. Characters appear without introduction and disappear without explanation. Things randomly become other things. Characters randomly become other characters. The book's preface states that it was written within 29 days, and this makes a lot of sense to me. It reads like it was written within one long coke bender. But from what I can surmise, Cunus is about you, Christian McDonough, who I confess to both not knowing well and knowing better than I ever want to know anyone, in the same way Listomania is about Franz Liszt. That is, I get the sense that the book's main goal is not to provide real facts, but to capture a specific series of emotions. This is not a new technique. Tim O'Brien, author of The Things They Carried, explains this rationale as followed. I want you to feel what I felt. I want you to know why story truth is truer sometimes than happening truth. The emotions become the basis for the scenes, in other words, and Cunnis's scenes range from childhood hijinks to penile flaying to extended conversation between Christian and a variety of invented co-interlocutors. Nonetheless, in Cunnis, as in Listomania and the things they carried, and the fact that Cunnis can be compared to such disparate works as these two is a feat in and of itself, trust me, there's still the constant implication that what we're reading is in some sense true. The narrator slash main character shares your name, and some of the events, like the whole saga with Marine in the middle of the book, seem grounded enough to be plausible. But other elements, like the fact that a quote unquote piddling life act was quote unquote originally enacted in China in 2042 and subsequently axed the following year, are transparently fictional. So the question basically is, where is the line? Is the glossed over admission from your narrator that he once made someone quote unquote drink his own piss just another fabrication? What about the narrator's serial killer-esque childhood bug fixation? Should we even care what's true? Can we possibly make ourselves not care while remaining emotionally invested in the book? In one sense, the autofictional setup is clever. Our inability to know the truth allows for an honesty that would be impossible in straight nonfiction, and this seems to be O'Brien's primary motivation as well. But the reason the things they carried succeeds is because it's secretly not a book about O'Brien. It's a book about the broader social atmosphere of the Vietnam War, the unstable narrative footing the invasion was based on, the feeling of not knowing what you're fighting for while being forced to fight for it anyway, and the atmosphere of utter epistemological uncertainty. That broader context is absent from Cunus. Cunus is, both metaphorically and at points literally, masturbatory. Much of it read like an inside joke between you and yourself. I could tell the nonsensical, acid-trippy stuff was supposed to map onto something real, but couldn't tell what. I felt locked out of true understanding, like a jeered-at bystander rather than a genuine co-conversant. This feeling made it hard for me to invest myself in you, the author, which was a problem because becoming invested in Christian the author seemed a prerequisite for becoming invested in Christian the character. Cunnis's emotional trajectory is one of self-discovery, after all. Nonetheless, the technique afforded the book some strengths. The fact that character Christian and implied author Christian aren't and can't be the same allowed for some genuine moments of humor and irony. For example, character Christian believes he is heterosexual and even insists as much, but implied author Christian clearly doesn't. If he did, and if he really wanted readers to think he was, he wouldn't do things like admit to possibly being in love with his male friend. These moments of inner tension and contradiction were the moments at which the book felt most human. Something else that endeared the book to me was its intellectual show-offery. Just about every literary device is used in here. There's first person, second person, and third person. There's past tense, present tense, future tense, even subjunctive tense. There's prose and poetry and prose poetry and playwriting. My one certainty by the time I finished Cunus was that its author is wildly creative, with an enviable ear for language. And I loved the parts where the language became lyrical and borderline bard-like. Quote, I came to this place, to this hill, and found myself crucified. That is all. I cry and scream. Many a night I wish to die. I laugh and sing. Many a night I wish to fly. End quote. I empathize with your desire to impress, to perform for readers, even if I didn't always feel we were on the same page. But alongside this desire to impress came an unrelenting desire to shock. The word cock appears 55 times throughout the book, and that's not even counting alternatives like penis and dick. The book contains dozens of paragraphs like the following, which appears on page 5. I, Freng, touch you, rape you, take you, make you mine, and you are me, and I am of you. I am coming to you. I come to you and through you each night. I fuck off you. I fuck off of all of you, every bit of you laid to waste by my tongue, and my cock and puss hole. I'm not someone who recoils from shocking material, nor do I believe one should censor one's art for the sake of audience sensibilities. But I think shock, like all artistic choices, should serve a purpose. Shock as environment doesn't work for me. Everything starts to feel flat and boring. How can the tension possibly increase if characters are already raping each other, mutilating each other, and saying the N-word in chapter 1? How can the word cock possibly still induce the desired reaction the 55th time it appears? It can't, or at least for me, it didn't. On the whole, I struggled to sympathize with this character, who seemed nihilistic and amoral, and much more concerned with assuaging his guilt and conversing with his schizophrenic delusions than connecting with anyone real. But I did sympathize with the type of author who can portray himself in such a vulnerable and hideous way, who can offer his own cock-up for literary disfigurement and invite the world to watch. What sort of mental constitution is required for one to be able to do that? I sure as hell couldn't. So was the book a success? It's hard for me to say. I suspect the only one who can say for sure is you. Sincerely, Hannah Smart.
Thank you. Okay. Dear Hannah, I read The Things They Carried when I was young, maybe 10 or 11. I don't remember anything about it except for a beautiful description of a sunset. I do remember trying to read it in class at school, and someone commented that I was on the same page for a really long time. I am a pretty slow reader, but I think at that moment I was nervous and was just looking at the book to try and avoid talking to people. I believe it was Benjamin who made that comment. Hyla, who was a girl I knew throughout grade school but never really talked to very much. She was fat, not the reason I didn't talk to her, and she had a big crush on him, Benjamin. He was handsome and fit. I remember her talking about it to her friends very seriously, as though she loved him, but I don't think she ever talked to him. I remember hiding beneath the bleachers in that classroom. It was a music room. The seats were tiered and bleacher-like so everyone could be seen while performing, with a girl. Her name might have been Hannah. We got into trouble sitting there because the teacher thought we were hiding away to do something. And that might have been the time where she played that game with me, where she touched me to see if I would get uncomfortable. She put her hand on my knee and stared at me. She inched it up my thigh. She asked me to the school dance, and I said yes, but I never showed up. Instead, I played basketball with my neighbor friend, Austin Pham. He's the one that got chomped by the unfleshed man in the book. But I heard later that she cried because I didn't show up. But Timmy, a tall, thin boy with black helmet hair and braces, Timmy showed up for her. When she was crying, he found her, and they danced together. They were together for years after that. I knew them both, and I was happy for them, though I hurt her. And I don't know what she thought of me after that. I was very shy. That day, the day of the dance, I pretended that she didn't text me, pretended that I didn't see it, tried to trick myself. Just now, as I was writing this, I received messages from my mom about my younger brother, pictures too. He's dressed in a suit, taking a girl to homecoming. Isn't that nice? I think he's doing very well, much better than I was at his age, in some ways. I actually did make someone drink my own piss, my friends too, together. We pissed in a cooler together at like 1 in the morning in a tennis court before he arrived. He was tired from walking all the way over there. He didn't notice it tasting any different. It must have been very diluted due to the leftover water in the cooler. I told him and he chased us around. The bug thing was a lie, but I admit to that in the book itself. It was my wife who did that, actually, but I think she's fine. But the truth of it, and the broader context, I am jerking myself to nothing, sucking myself off into a black hole, and we are all selves, and all have the context of living and reflecting upon ourselves. All live in some kind of reality, a reality which is unstable and unknowable. And when you truly look at yourself, you won't see what you think you should see, nor what you want, and when everyone else looks at you. Truthfully, I am not trying so hard to convince you of anything about myself. I do actually consider myself a heterosexual. I know how comedic that comes across. I know I have said things that don't quite make sense, that are contradictory, but that is true to who I am. And more generally, I'm quite convinced it's true to who you are as well. I once jokingly commented on a post you made about intense, intrusive thoughts that you couldn't escape. I said, I recommend writing a cunus type book. I meant it more sincerely than you might expect. I suspect that if you did, you might better understand, might be able to map it all out, trace the strange steps and converse with me, and I would be happy to talk so openly. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thanks again, Hannah. I know you kind of have to leave soon, so if I don't get to say bye.
Yeah, I can stay a bit longer. I can stay till like 8 or 8:15.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay. So now it's Taylor Jean is up next.
Oh, hey,
How's it going?
it's going fine. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm really glad you were able to make it. I'm excited to hear you read it. Yours is really fun.
Yeah, mine is very confusing, but I guess I'll go ahead and start because I tried to get it down to like 9 minutes.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Okay, so beginning to crumble somewhere, somehow, all woman a man, and she technicolor drag, she used what's left can say it, while I'm the auspicious of a sudden she. Sky, the bushes, come on, what do the fuck? And he listened to it down and flapped that the was soft red, as she said, didn't really know her. But two about her, him, laughing with that heart, is a kaleidoscope, do it. Covered as a feature of the cheek, in his slender she, the or in hell, and there's still his Frankenstein forehead and bolted cock she circle while time shifted and a genital and she nympho one looked was in a forest hut with I processed some old grief spoke be free with him erotic consumption a giant tree-like mass save your American bodies no one said your name her black teeth bared fangs and filing date April 23rd 2015 to but watery red make sure to the time she worked herself upon spoke, give it to me, two in blue, is slash are claimed, as not as though I were going to the valley below, beam bomb hid in red U. Might calm down, look. Well, I could see them. De l'ombre des jeunes filles on the scratchy speech to who we against a dark blue, or maybe equidistant apologized and settled myself. Who doesn't, though we were still in the her, these. I'm haunted by memories. Devil with his leather wings flapped from the other. The color, I argue, threads in the sort tease. Point did finally get bored, or Oak's very own trapeze school. You, black mass of blood there, and La Poissoire. If she could concentric the last day, Belle was center goon she laughed. Now and went on dark dot non the circle. The other CB bum picked up the sky 6 weeks ago. With cellular, us looked at us long and Bogdan watching and smiling and laughing. Now some gooner must have radiated the disaster that occurred. The world thick, black news ink you light and tout le reste Tianjia. Like them, oh, okay. And her for a long time cared again speaking to Philhellinus. You fool be gone, I collapsed. And Daniel denied, Harg, a man, and at the eye, no, the dot. This about how he had tried to rear view mirror pretty with it Philhellinus, and his face appeared through the mop, and get more remember up in the middle of SI. Started to say, after I weak, huge red bartenders, the nymphs, but they had become my thoughts, are on the bone she pretended to be one way, my wife, to suck it and ring to my truck. to stitch high two concentric circles, tu mo, jen bu yao lian. Why did the twin F15A50, favorite room actually, the printing, the other, the color S forstood upon began to shake aggressively on what it is? They're laughing. The sky was brilliant in mouths. I saw some miracle. She had her drink and was breathing hard and heavy, and the more arousing how she was wasps she was in her past. Beaming in the twigs, he said this was what it, her sister, this is real. Out dazed, out to even remember. Overwhelming other side. Janice give, Mark, but still she was, so the please do whatever, I don't. The blue or green 2C6E91, like the real, her go running tell for with him, and her father plus status date to May, and crawled upon us, and stared at came out from the bushes with again, even more than before, and death slash abandonment, denied no mo mo, haunted from her back, yes. Wings beginning, the demon's cherub eyes, the city bartender, the eye, know the reading, a long boring drink, the while are a real human being, five we were. All sinking down further, the shack stoked the small cauldron, and then she was in Lied, the circle, the red circle, birds was goon, Z, not a bit over and used her. Mouth goon she, you right now, moonlight makes much no or more, five or more. Spotted fashion escapes her mind, faintly California, tan dimples in her seamed mouth, and making her pout like from the dream mindset. It woman tongue out twitching blia, blia, oh my God. Partially shaded circles. Five look like Montroa, Mark 1, or death slash abandonment. Red and blue is slash R. Claimed, I heard Gunshi say, at one rocks crumbling around us. It was to form leathery and binding wound, be slugs of the stuff. B can't call you. But I'm a goon she was there, and Bogdan, as with their C-beams, goon 866089294, okay? I've been there too, this far, 2015. T's plus status date to respond, the wooden stage. We head of his and she was its 2C6E91, the red circle. Red circle lost her life. Only what, when, or maybe green. She thinks I felt like the world was shifting, but it didn't matter. Now, yes, that red there. F15A50, soft mo, noir sommelier. She all of them going on about. She first set up a bartender like off some space cowboy, him going on and on. Come teeth dyed black, some still in, mo injected in her wrist. She and I was clenching my glowed glows, bright and reflective in the mo janbu yao lian. Me and concern, nobody cares. You're not think too much, and I wanted to has. She said too much straight. Richard to my own seasons. Love him, open up to him. Mean anything to you, Montreya. Care it before as cold as a ransom learned at me. She thought, I, nothing could ever recur. Nothing could. Then in my head blew, and right as rain, and gave beam bomb for Lin Tao trying to make her 23. Circle against the blue, or that verge of overloading, I want ingesting it, rubbing it upon there with holes in the center, a save Lin Tao, how he realized, how would you believe in it, before the nymph that was upon him cutting at her groin to type life? Will be one, it was not her problem, what of cats at night, but it wasn't. I'm gonna go out of it, kingdom in the lands before, but of theirs under that, this dynasty, whatever, about with something like a spider's drove a shadow flock. Of me confused like usual as she to faggot to dingus to the little this substance was what stained there where each circle is, equidistant, mellow turned her attention to grime, coming the wind whistled through them, all silky wavy hair blue-green. Eyes see it wasn't like she hadn't. Had I returned the new day wakes, passed to the east, TZ don't give her a slight headache if Mo I don't have a name hard breathed upon us and everyone. Static left by the last. She's weird to go to her. Must be proto culture. Zone. Do smell. and she'd hear the huge dizzy. She'd slipped out and in pattern against a blue out around us, poking the nymphs they, careful 2 years later, does really liked her. I turn, think on, come on, shh. Said of not to slip on the Perona one of those little the trademark Montreux mark, I American, and catch the wave of that funeral, her bartender. She focused on, there it is, that red there, I up, totally de-interlaced, thinking she, it, fanning. Out with the wrong at totally or partially shaded circles. Anything to you, Montreya, Mark Sung. Make an opening to make figures weigh. And it's actually another radiation would make her. So a drumming her tense gets her, and you're living at the bittersweet motel halfway between two concentric circles. Circles. A drumming, bared, removed bartender, more. No faggots, slip or gigantic. A sheed, you're on blue, me on caring. Like is about thorn, human circle. The not a pun, but. And that's it.
Thank
Thank you.
That's so beautiful. I know my response back is not like it doesn't actually like talk about your response, but I wanted to say it like when I read it. Um, it was really cool because it felt like it was extending the Cunus book in a way, and like part of it was to like kind of the point of the book was to try and like connect with other people. So it felt like I was like getting connected with another person through it, and it was like, you know, I was kind of lost in the world through it in a way. So it really meant a lot to me.
I really appreciated being invited. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to read the first 25 poems of my response back to you. Um, I wrote 99 poems in response to this response, uh, but I don't want to take up too much time. Okay. The world lives and changes. It is all-knowing and ever-present. Life cares for it and is within it. Truth is full and meaningful, as are all things. All things are connected. It can only be known distantly. 2. All things are made for the purpose of being. Being is the ultimate good. Because of this, we must strive to be as much as possible. If we do this, we are living purposefully. If we do this, we may reach the end together. Being is all there is. We must push, we must birth. 3. Everything is crude. It is meaningless. All lacks purpose. All is empty. People hurt others because of this. People should be punished. No one will ever live, not truly. 4. There is only one world, one universe. Everything is one way. There is no way to escape the truth. We are slave to the way all is. We will never know it. 5. Everything is multiple. There is no single thing. There is no single path. To live is to create. All is constantly created again, anew. There is no difference between understanding and possibility. All is possible. 6. There is no good. All is evil. All is suffering. All is rot. Nothing new is ever born. Everything is degradation and replication. Try as we might, we are destined to fall. 7. All things are objects, to be used, to be made. Objects without lives, lives without movements, movements without function. Impenetrable and unknowable, yet simple and dumb. Everything is there to be seen. 8. Nothing exists, it is lost. No sensation and no body. We are not here. Crumbling, falling, we don't see. We don't live. Not even a thought is here. Not even an object. Not even a subject. You can listen. Everything is a game. Everything is a whisper. The end doesn't see. It doesn't know. The game can be played again. 10. Excuse me. Destiny was once with us, but has now faded away. One is fading. two are not. There are more, but they are not meant to be said. 11. Time is fundamental to being. It is being. Time floats away. It is everywhere, yet it is never seen. It could be wrangled and taken in. It could be made for use, but it isn't. It is freed and laughed at. No one cares for it. 12. A new path is made. It is formed and crafted. It is beautiful. The path laughs. It is a laughing path. The path will fade still. One walks down it, but another cannot find it. Still, it is there. Try for it, and you will be lost again. Don't till you found. Everything hears, everything knows. Nothing is different. Take care, all of you. It is still there. It is waiting. Do not fear. It will come. Listen to it, to everything, to every piece, to all. There is no truth, only interpretation. Whenever the truth is spoken, it is clear that it is there. It is known and heard and fought against. It will never stop. It will never cease. The truth will kill us all. 16. Errors do occur. Mistakes are in fact made. Things which should not happen do. Yet things go on. Yet things happen as they should. All is to be accepted as it is. There is nothing to fight against. Nothing will be changed. 17. Only you can correct the world. Everything you might do has an impact. What will you make of it? The injustice you see will prevail only if you allow it to. The world is at your mercy, and you are at its. 18. Every act will lead to ruin. Everyone will hurt another. There is no moral act without immoral consequence. You are chained to the underworld, and it will eat you when it so desires. Your chains are unbreakable. Your face is ugly. No one will save you. No one will see you. 19. There is multiple chance. The world birth came in stages. All processes repeat, exactly and in miniature. Life is quasi-real, quasi-true. It is reified repeatedly. There is no completion. 20. Life hangs above us to be reached for but never attained. Life is a wheelbarrow. The pursuit is lacking, threatening. It laughs back at us. 21. Desire is tragic. Tragedy is life. Torture is necessary. A hole must be filled. We need to do something. Will it be done? 22. One must always hold themselves to a standard. The world must always reject it. One must listen to it. Do as you are told and fulfill it. 23. Complete rejection is necessary for creation, as well as contradiction. 24. To exist fully, we must create, and to create, we need harmony. Without harmony, without rhythm, we are away. We must be here. When one is lost, they look for something known. We must have something known and something unknown. 25. There are several endings to the unfinished world. Trial and error are overcome and made final. There is a solution. Everything is to be calculated. Okay, that's it. Okay. Next up is going to be Kenji Siratori. Thank you, Taylor. Okay. I don't know. I know Kenji is playing. I don't know how he's
こんにち
going
は、
to do
ク
it.
リスチャン。クヌスの出版おめでとう。今日は、クヌスのためのスペシャルライブするよ。じゃあね。
Hi, Candy, how's it going?
You know, when an archaeologist excavates a Neanderthal burial site, there's this comforting assumption of silence.
Yeah, absolutely.
You brush away the sediment, you catalog the placement of the bones, the red ochre, the lithic fragments. I mean, the subject is dead, right? The story has concluded. What remains is just a static, clean artifact waiting to be translated.
Right, because you're dealing with a closed system. It's a moment safely frozen in geological time. The past isn't going to, suddenly reach out and grab your wrist.
Exactly. But then, you open open Christian McDonald's xenopoem, cunus, and suddenly that comforting archaeological assumption is completely shattered. You aren't excavating a quiet relic anymore.
No, definitely not.
You are opening a book, and what you find inside is, well, it's a living, screaming corpse. The text presents us with this dense, incredibly provocative landscape of trauma, post-human consciousness, and just utter linguistic breakdown.
It is the absolute definition of a text that refuses to stay buried. I mean, you are essentially excavating a cadaver that is actively autopsying itself. It's a highly visceral, terrifying reading experience.
It really is. And the burial site is no longer static. It is this grotesque, fragmented topography where the very language you're trying to read is actively decomposing on the page.
Yeah, decomposing and reforming.
Right, and that actually brings us to the core of our discussion today, because I think we both recognize that cunesis completely dismantles the humanist subject. It takes the ego, the I of the narrator, and breaks it into an array of recursive horrors and shattered identities.
Oh, without question. The stable self is completely obliterated.
But our fundamental disagreement lies in the underlying mechanism driving this post-human dissolution. So I argue that the text operates on the strict principles of quantum topological collapse.
Right.
In my view, the horrors we see, like the looping traumas, the splintered selves, these are the direct result of tachyonic time loops and quantum measurements rewriting reality at a subatomic level.
And, I come at it from a different way. My position is that cunatus is fundamentally a bacteriological pathogenesis.
Okay.
The dissolution of the post-human subject in this text isn't some clean, abstract symptom of quantum physics. It is an epidemiological event. I argue that language in the xenopoem operates as a literal fungal infection. It's rotting the human subject from the inside out.
Well, to understand the quantum topological model, we really have to look at cunus as a profound ontological claim rooted in quantum Bayesianism. Let's just call it cubism for short.
Sure.
We also have to look at what theoretical models call the Platonic, Akashic, Tachyonic quantum field, or the path QF.
Okay, wait. Before we get completely lost in the acronyms, let's unpack that for a second. We're throwing a lot of dense physics at the listener right off the bat.
Fair enough. Let's ground it. So, in standard physics, there's an assumption that the universe is out there ticking along whether we're looking at it or not. Right? Objective reality exists.
Mm-hmm.
But in cubism, the observer is the absolute center of reality. Reality doesn't actually crystallize into a concrete state until a subject physically experiences it. The observer's interaction is what forces the universe to make up its mind.
So it's the observer effect, essentially, but weaponized.
Precisely. Taken to its absolute extreme limit. In the text, the narrator fractures into multiple chaotic identities, right? Gunshi, Kira, Frang.
Yeah.
This isn't just psychological dissociation or a standard trauma response. It is a complete abandonment of objective reality in favor of what physicists call participatory realism. The text's severe trauma acts as a measurement event.
A measurement event?
Yes. Every time the narrator experiences violence, it acts as a quantum wave function collapse that forces the universe to localize. The self isn't a stable entity walking linearly through a timeline. It is an actor-predictor smeared across time. The trauma is so extreme it causes a faster-than-light, tachyonic retrocausality.
Meaning the future is dictating the present?
Exactly. The trauma is reaching backward through time, rewriting the subject's probability field into these recursive, shattered data states. It is literally quantum mechanics applied to human suffering.
See, that is an incredibly elegant theoretical architecture, and I appreciate how neatly the math checks out in a vacuum. But to me, it completely ignores the visceral, messy reality of the text itself.
Messy how?
Well, cunus is best understood not through abstract quantum mechanics, but through pathogenic biolinguistics and mycosemiotics.
Mycosemiotics? Okay, let's give that the same treatment we gave cubism. What exactly are we talking about here?
Gladly. So, mycology is the study of fungi, and semiotics is the study of signs, symbols, and language. I am arguing that the words in McDonough's text behave exactly like a fungal colony.
Okay.
This text begins exactly where that Neanderthal burial begins. Not in a pristine quantum field, but in a microbial parliament. From the moment the corpse is lowered into the sediment, it enters a biological dialogue with the dirt, the bacteria, the worms.
But you are treating the linguistic mutation of the text as purely biological. Language isn't a physical organism.
But in this text, it is. Language in McDonough's work functions analogously to a biological virus, specifically something like Xenobacillus classificata. Think about how a real-world virus works.
It hijacks the host.
Right. It doesn't have its own machinery to reproduce. It has to physically invade a host cell, hijack the cell's DNA, and force that cell to print more copies of the virus. That is exactly how language operates in the xenopoem. The degradation of the narrator's syntax isn't a quantum collapse. It is an autoimmune rupture.
So you're saying the self is just a host?
Yes. The self is merely a rotting host, secreting what we might call semiotic slime. The characters that emerge, Gunshi, Kira, Frank, they are not mathematical wave function collapses. They are bacterial spores.
Wow.
Yeah, they are feeding on unprocessed trauma to replicate themselves. It is a pathogenic event where the self is biologically composted by the very words it attempts to speak.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective, especially when we look at the nature and agency of the character Frank. Because in the text, Frank is an utterly grotesque, violent entity. But mathematically, structurally, Frank operates as a quantum twist operator.
A twist operator?
Yes. So in quantum field theory, a twist operator is a deliberate defect introduced into the mathematical fabric of a field to create entanglement.
Okay, I follow.
Imagine pulling a single loose thread on a knitted sweater until the entire pattern warps and distorts. Frank is pulling the thread of the narrator's reality. He is a tachyonic avatar of informational surplus. To make this really clear, think of the famous double slits experiment from physics class.
Where a particle acts as a wave of possibilities until you measure it.
Exactly. When you shoot a photon through two slits, it exists in a fluid wave of probability. It goes through both slits, it goes through neither, it interferes with itself. But the instant you place a detector there to look at it, that wave function collapses.
Right, it becomes concrete.
It snaps into a single concrete reality. It becomes a localized particle. That is what Frank is doing. Frank is the eyeball looking at the narrator. He's the ultimate violent observer effect. Christian's entire fluid reality collapses the moment Frank measures him through trauma.
But look at the actual language Frank uses. It isn't mathematical at all.
Well, when Frank says, "I am coming to you and through you each night," he is articulating the recursive computational logic of an internal reality mimicking an external one. He forces the narrator's fluid identity to snap into a rigid state of trauma. He is the mediating tachyon between the platonic ideal and bodily dysphoria.
I hear the math you're applying here, but I think you're ignoring the actual texture of the words on the page. I mean, Frank isn't an abstract mathematical operator. He's a distinctly fleshy, fungal, phallic parasite.
Fleshy, sure, but
His linguistic violence, his declarations of I, Frank, touch, rape, that is not a crisp quantum measurement. It is a microbial transcription error.
wait, a transcription error? Like a genetic mutation?
Exactly. When a virus hijacks a cell to copy its DNA, sometimes the copying process is sloppy, right? It makes errors. Those errors are mutations. Frank's broken violent syntax is a deliberate demonstration of linguistic mutation.
Okay, I see the analogy.
He is a pathogen metabolizing the host's trauma into communicative biomass. You look at Frank and see an elegant equation collapsing a wave function. I look at Frank and see a semiotic predator speaking in the peristaltic rhythm of a digestive tract.
That's a very visceral image.
Because it's an infection of the linguistic membrane. His saliva is a biological protocol for writing under collapse, where the quantum of action isn't a photon, it's mucus. He is physically digesting the narrative.
But if we accept your premise that Frank is a biological virus eating the present, how do you explain the past? Because if we look at the childhood memories in the text, the past is changing too. A virus can't eat backward through time.
I I mean,
The path QF model explicitly accounts for these temporal anomalies.
you're referring to the childhood hallucinations.
Yes, figures like Pinkle Pop the Clown or Abacus the Poop Man. Conventional literary analysis would call these repressed memories bubbling up into the conscious mind. I argue they are not memories at all. They are tachyonic residues.
Okay, you'll have to explain how a clown is a tachyonic residue.
Well, by definition, a tachyon is a hypothetical particle that travels faster than the speed of light. And in physics, if something moves faster than light, it moves backward through time. This aligns perfectly with Benjamin Libet's neurophysiological findings on backward time masking.
Remind the listener how that works, if you would.
Right, so Libet discovered that when the brain registers a stimulus, like, say, a tap on the hand, it takes half a second for the brain to consciously process it. But the brain subjectively antedates or backdates the sensation, making you feel as though you experienced it at the exact moment of the tap.
Ah, I see.
The perception actually trails the stimulus, but the brain tricks you into thinking it was simultaneous. Cunus takes that neurological mechanism and applies it to the universe. Christian's childhood visions unfold not linearly, but quantum narratively.
So you're saying the trauma is causing the past?
The trauma is post-caused. The narrator isn't remembering a life. He is the interference pattern of a boy who never stabilized, receiving red-shifted signals from a collapsing future. The trauma is so massive in the present that it radiates backward, creating the hallucinations of Pinkle Pop in the past.
That's a really compelling argument. But have you considered that a tachyonic field requires a rigid mathematical structure of physics to operate, whereas every single memory in cunus is explicitly steeped in organic fluids, pus, and rot?
Well, biology and physics aren't mutually exclusive.
True, but a virus doesn't need to travel backward in time to alter the past. It just needs to alter the archive. Pinkle Pop and Abacus are not quantum echoes bouncing backward from the future. They are neural micromemes.
Neural mycomemes? Wait, you're suggesting they are literal fungi in the brain?
I am suggesting they are fungal symbionts, coded from semi-digested affective residue. Let me explain the biological mechanism here. A biofilm, like plaque on your teeth or algae on a rock, is a complex structure of microorganisms sticking to each other.
Right, they communicate.
They share nutrients and genetic information. Memory in Quinquonicus is cultured like a biofilm. The text looping temporality, which you read as tachyonic retrocausality, is simply the recursive replication cycle of a virus that refuses to decay.
So the repetition isn't a time loop, it's just a replication cycle.
Precisely. Think about how a pathogen archives information. Its archive is its replication cycle. It repeats the same symptoms over and over because it is biologically programmed to multiply within the host.
Okay, I follow the logic.
When the narrator keeps hallucinating Pinkle Pop, that isn't a signal from the future. It is the virus copying itself, overwriting the healthy memory cells with infected ones. It is biological fermentation, not quantum mechanics. The narrator's consciousness isn't an interference pattern. It is a fermenting broth of indeterminacies.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning, because you are entirely sidestepping the physical architecture of the text. I mean, if we move from the mind and memory to the physical deformations of the body, your biological model kind of falls apart.
How so?
Look at the severe bodily mutilation, specifically the scenes where the bioluminescent nymphs demand genital severance.
That is a highly visceral, organic scene.
Visceral? Yes, but rigorously mathematical. This isn't just random bacterial rot. It is what I term xenocastration. It is a surgical modulation of the cognitive structure explained by Klein bottle logic.
Okay, let's make sure everyone is visualizing a Klein bottle.
Sure, a Klein bottle is a non-orientable mathematical surface. Unlike a sphere or a cube, which has a distinct inside and outside, a Klein bottle loops back into itself. If you were an ant walking on the outside of a Klein bottle, you would eventually find yourself on the inside without ever crossing an edge.
So the inside is the outside?
Exactly. The body in terminus folds into itself like a non-orientable topology. The severance of the phallic Alice isn't biological composting, it is a reprogramming of the phenomenological horizon.
That's quite a leap.
The textual space operates under strict multi-value topological logic, where the narrator undergoes an embryological eversion. It is a mathematical torsion, right? A topological knot in space-time, where the subject's boundary is twisted inside out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you what. You are attempting to clean up something that is inherently filthy.
I wouldn't call it cleaning up.
But you are. Genitality in cunus doesn't become a pristine topological surface smoothly looping like a mathematical rendering. It becomes an ulcered zone of semiotic discharge. It becomes a site of liposemiotic proliferation, meaning it generates meaning through fat, grease, and biological waste. It is messy, chaotic, and relentlessly organic.
But what about the structural elements of the text? You can't just ignore the structure.
I'm not. If you want proof that biological rot supersedes mechanical or mathematical topology, look at the absurdist character of the filing cabinet.
Well, the filing cabinet is the ultimate representation of mechanical archival closure. I mean, it is the very definition of an organized, non-biological structure.
Exactly. It seems mechanical and archival. But what actually happens to it? It suffers a gastrointestinal illness. The filing cabinet literally vomits grease.
True.
But how does a mathematical topology explain a metal cabinet suffering from nausea? It can't. This proves that in McDonald's universe, even the archival, the structural, and the mechanical succumb to organic metabolic disease. The cabinet's greasy puke is a symbolic expulsion of the infected real. It's a mycosemiotic shedding. Biology always wins over mechanics in this text.
I see the appeal of viewing the filing cabinet's vomit as a victory of biology over mechanics, but again, I think you're misinterpreting the form of the text itself. The Zeno poem specifically mimics the Sine-Gordon model of solitons in physics.
Oh, we need a clear visual for a soliton wave.
Okay, let's use water. If you drop two pebbles in a pond, the ripples expand, they hit each other, and they cancel each other out. That's normal wave interference.
Right.
But a soliton is different. Imagine a massive tidal wave or a tsunami traveling across the deep ocean. It is a single, solitary wave that maintains its exact shape, speed, and energy over thousands of miles, completely unaffected by the interference around it. That is a soliton.
Then how does that apply to the text?
Well, if this is purely biological chaos and random rot, how do you account for the strict mathematical recursion of the text topology? In Teletonus, trauma is conserved as a solitonic charge.
Ah, I see where you're going.
Despite the syntactical collapse, despite the grotesque imagery of vomiting cabinets, the actual structure of the trauma persists, mathematically conserved across interactions. When characters collide, the trauma survives the collision intact, just like a soliton wave passing through another wave and emerging with its shape perfectly preserved.
It survives because a pathogenic vector ensures its own survival until the host is entirely consumed. The grammar is larval. The syntax itself is parasitic.
But the mathematical precision.
The repetitions you call elegant mathematical solitons, phrases like, I ruin myself at every moment, or the constant cyclical return to the same abusive encounters, those are linguistic spores. They're pathogenic language games that have collapsed into an automaton. There is no structural elegance here. It is the dysenteric logic of a language whose bacterial flora has become completely necrotic.
So, if we look at the trajectory of all of this, the ultimate teleology of the text, what is the final purpose of this post-human dissolution? Why dismantle the subject at all? I mean, if we look at the microtemporal speed of these narrative shifts, the text operates as an Epicurean clinamen.
A swerve.
Yes. The ancient philosopher Epicurus proposed that atoms falling through the void occasionally exhibit a spontaneous, unpredictable swerve, a clinamen, which causes them to collide and create new matter. new worlds.
Right.
Kronos is a macro-level clanamen. The atomic subject recursively collapses into itself, creating a post-human realization of true infinity. It is a discontinuous eruption of virtual relations. The text creates worlds precisely by destroying the coherence of the old ones. It is a limitless quantum field of possibility.
I come at the teleology from the exact opposite direction. This isn't a magnificent expansion into infinity. It is a negative noogenesis.
Ah, so you're referring to a dark inversion of Teilhard de Chardin's evolutionary ladder.
Precisely. Teilhard de Chardin was a philosopher and paleontologist who envisioned evolution as a synthesis of complex forms, culminating in a supreme point of human self-reflection and divine unity, which he called the Omega Point.
Right.
Cunus represents the total, violent collapse of that ladder.
So where does it end, if not the Omega Point?
It culminates in what I call a spore point. It is the final disassembly of subjectivity into decentralized mycelial drives. The self doesn't transcend into a beautiful holographic quantum field. It is chewed into multiplicity.
Chewed into multiplicity.
Yes, it dissolves into insects and fluids, returning to the mud of the microbial parliament we discussed at the beginning. The xenopalm isn't a metaphysical expansion into new quantum worlds. It is a biological composting of the human ego back into the dirt.
So to summarize our positions in light of this discussion, I maintain that cunus is a profound post-human document mapping the quantum topology of trauma. Through the lens of quantum Bayesianism and tachyonic fields, we see a text where subjective experience and the observer effect violently collapse the human ego into infinite entangled wave functions. The body and the mind are rewritten by time loops and non-orientable geometry, ultimately revealing a participatory universe where reality is continually shattered and remade by trauma.
And I maintain that the text is the ultimate epidemiological event. It is a literal infection of the linguistic body. The self isn't participating in complex quantum mechanics. It is being biologically composted by the very words it attempts to speak.
Right.
The characters, the looping memories, the anatomical horrors, these are all symptoms of a pathogenic biolinguistics. It is a viral semiotic slime that reduces the humanist subject to raw, decaying biomass.
Yet, despite this fundamental disagreement on the underlying mechanism, whether we view it through the rigorous physics-driven lens of quantum topology or the visceral organic lens of bacteriology, we really reach a very profound point of convergence.
We do, because regardless of the framework you apply, cunus successfully and ruthlessly dismantles the humanist subject.
Exactly. It exposes a post-human condition that is entirely defined by recursive trauma, glossolalia, and the complete, irreversible collapse of stable identity. There is no cohesive I left by the end of the text.
Only a scattered multiplicity. It forces us to confront the extreme fragility of our own cognitive and linguistic boundaries. I mean, it shows how incredibly easy it is for the self to be unthreaded, whether that unthreading is done by a tachyonic wave or a fungal spore.
It is deeply unsettling, but that is precisely the value of analyzing such extreme post-human texts. They force us to look past the comforting illusions of our own structural integrity. There are even deeper, unexplored layers of semiotic and ontological complexity in McDonough's material, just waiting for the listener to untangle.
Absolutely.
Which brings us back to where we started today. When you stand over that archaeological excavation, staring down into the sediment and the ochre, you have to ask yourself, are you observing a system that is safely dead and buried? Or are you just waiting for the corpse to open its mouth and start speaking?
はい、クリちゃん、ありがとうね。今日はありがとう。
Arigato. It's so good to see you, Kenji. Thank you. That was so fucking awesome. That was so cool. Thank you so much, Kenji. Arigato gozaimasu. Okay. Here's a mandala diagram illustrating Kenji's cunus. This is my response back to Kenji's cunus. You can see on the outer edge, that's the Klein-Bottle loop surface. I guess I got to explain. Kenji's original cunus response is probably like 3 or 4 times the length of that, and it's like 100 pages long, and it's more it's not an argument. It's like a strong. It's not like an argument between two talkers. It's one long uh, essay on it. But okay, so have you can see the background? That's the Platonic, Akashic, Tachyonic, holographic quantum field. You see? And then the little guys on the outer edge here, these are the tachyonic avatars. And then in the middle, that's the burial site, the initial burial of the cunus, which breeds out the fungus that makes up the Platonic, Akashic, Tachyonic, holographic quantum field, which is of course contained within the Klein bottle loop surface, which is there. If that, I guess you guys get it, you know. Okay. Yeah, you could go ahead and smoke weed, CH. Thank you again, Kenji. That was so awesome. It's so awesome to get to talk with you a little bit and everything. I love you so much. That was so great. Okay. If my little brother Nicky is here, he can go next.
Yeah,
Let
I'm
me.
here.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
you don't have your camera on? You being a little pussy?
Yeah, I can turn my camera.
That's
Hey,
my little
everybody.
brother, Nick. That's Nicholas McDonough.
I'm Christian's little brother.
Yeah. So everyone, this is my little brother. If you were here at the Cunus play, you probably met my dad, and my other brother Ashton. This is Nicky. As you can see, he's a beautiful, handsome young man. People always say, well, actually, I was going to say the thing, but I think that's in your response.
Oh,
Okay, you
yeah.
can whenever you want.
All right. This is My Brother's Cunus by me. There was a time when my brother and I were best friends, particularly while I navigated through middle school and high school. He always seemed to ooze knowledge and confidence while I fumbled through puberty. Naturally, I loved everything he had to say. He would show me interesting films and pose new perspectives about the things around me. These perspectives impacting me even to this day. It is quite embarrassing to reflect on how he sat first row watching my frontal lobe develop as I made simple mistakes and fumbled through life. But that is what brothers are for, and this is something he taught me. Though before all of this, before he shared things with me, we were not friends, I find it hard to believe we ever spoke to each other at all during this time. At the beginning, our relationship was more of a coexistence of two different species, unable to communicate in any way. During this time, I watched my brother's life unfold while at the top of a spiraling staircase, one with black twisting metal bars on every step. It was an important part of our childhood home. I would sit on the top of these stairs and watch through the bars. I had seen and heard many things at the top of these stairs. One day, I sat there as he burst through the door with his head in his hands. He had fallen badly off his bike, leaving a bloody scrape across his face. I watched him. I was so afraid for the health of my brother, for the embarrassment he must have felt. I watched him sob through the metal bars on the top of the spiraling stairs for a moment. Then I went away to my room, the room far away from him. One evening, I sat at the top of the stairs. I watched the innocent sobs of my own blood from the entryway through the metal bars. Again, I sat with fear. Someone had hurt my older brother, the brother that always seemed so strong, the brother that seemed to do what he wanted, indulging in his interests without fear. He cried of a breakup. He said he couldn't do it anymore. He told us of things she would say, threats she would make. As she, as he sobbed loudly, I recall leaving. Again, I went to my room, uncomfortable and uncertain. In this moment, my brother was at his weakest, yet I left him. I let him sit with my mother and talk to her. Yet now I read my brother's cunus and I know what the moment was. The sobs were filled with fear and freedom. He feared he may have killed her. He feared he would have to live with her memory forever. The memory of that stupid bitch, the silent whore, the one I was too young to understand and always too far away to hear. Quite literally, she was always so quiet it was aggravating. When I read my brother's cunus, I feel such a crushing sadness. My beautiful brother has been hurt so many times, a pain I've only witnessed through between those twisting metal bars. When reflecting on the pain that I witnessed, I wasn't sure how to feel in those moments. I still do not. Reading of the horrid things that occurred to him forms a nausea over me. I, his brother, have grown in the same house, yet have experienced a life oh so very different. I no longer can flee my brother's hardships. I sat and read every word. A concern grows inside me as I read my brother's cunus. My head fills with heat. It is fear. Fear that the readers will misunderstand my brother and what he is saying. My brother may use these disgusting words, but you must attempt to understand them, not shy away from the words themselves, like I have from my brother's pain in my youth. You must meet my brother. He is not what you think. He is a happy and beautiful boy. He only wants to share himself with the world, particularly the parts of himself that you may not want to see. Disgust you may feel with him when he tells you of his darkest thoughts. There was a man more noble to shy and keep his thoughts to himself, or more noble in exposing himself to the world to be judged wholly and completely. Again, early in my life, me and my brother did not get along. The classic story of the younger brother wanting everything to do with the older, while the older brother wants nothing to do with the younger. We lived at a distance. I would stalk, I would be discovered, I would be removed. He terrified me, though never enough to keep me away. I was always so interested in what he had to say and the things he did. It was growing up that it was growing up that I feared. I feared the possibility of feeling as he felt. A relationship more akin to a curious cat and a dog rather than true brothers. Then one day we spoke. We realized how similar we were. My brother shared what he cared about with me and the type of world that he wanted, a place of subjectivity, creativity, and without restrictions, a place fueled by his hardships I was not aware of at the time. I'm often disappointed in myself when reflecting on my behavior. My brother's kindness amplified such feelings, as seeing so much of my brother that I love oh so much, shows my failures. I wish only to have been there for him more. My brother showed me a world of art in different mediums. He showed me films, paintings, poems, and literature. My brother showed me the important things in life. While I sat on the floor of our meeting room, wide-eyed, desperately attempting to understand the complex films in front of me, my brother bore the weight of what it all really meant for me. I have faced no tragedy. I have faced no hardships. Throughout my life, I have been given ample opportunities to succeed with a soft safety net constantly below me. I have been lucky when my brother has not, and I regret it. I don't deserve such luck. That is all it is. My brother was unlucky. My parents moved at an unfortunate time for his development, leading to make unfortunate friends and meeting an unfortunate girl, and such people hurt him. While thinking of the pain they caused fuels me with fire and hatred, I know it was how it must have been, for it led to his cunus. It led to his now wife. It led to an amazing person. A person that is daring and ambitious with what he wants to succeed. A person that is showing you everything about himself. That's my cunus for my brother, Christian McDonough.
Thank you, brother. I
Of
love
course,
you
happy
so much.
birthday. Happy cunus day. Can we
Oh,
get some cunus days in the chat, please?
gonna stay, gonna stay.
Cunus day.
Oh, everyone said it.
Nice.
That's so good. Okay, I'm gonna read mine back. It's cool. I'm doing just fine. I did have a safety net. I still do. It's you and Ashton and Maddie and mom and dad and India and Berkeley, our dog. I'm still alive. I'm living and thriving. I'm writing. I'm making things. I'm spending time with people I love. Many people's lives are much worse than mine. Cunus is an embrace of my stupid self-pity, amongst other things, washing it all away. And hopefully it'll all be gone soon. My life has never been that bad. I just have a fun way with words. Everyone has a little Cunus in them, even you, Nikki. I'm sure you do. We all have to wallow in our selfhood for a little while, then set it aside. I love my brother. I don't know what I'd do without him. Every time I see a movie where someone's brother dies, I think about him, and also my other brother, and also my sister a little bit, but you don't see sisters dying in movies nearly as often as brothers, and cry. I never expected you to do anything, Nikki. I was never disappointed in you, except for that time when you used Dad's credit card to buy thousands of dollars worth of skins on PUBG, but it worked out just fine in the end. I love you, Nikki. I love that I can talk to you about basically anything and that you'll understand, and that I can literally see myself in you. A slightly warped image of me. My brother looks just like me, but slightly shorter and broader. There are times when we don't talk much, when you're off living your life, where I miss you and feel like I can't connect with you. But whenever there's time in your home, I know that we'll be able to really talk. To talk about our parents, worry about them, complain about them, appreciate them. To talk about our relationships, fights, difficult feelings. I can cry in front of you and I know it'll be okay. Nikki and I are really very close. Nikki and I really are very close. I remember us sitting together at a family party, sharing a tiny plate of weenies. Our cousins saw us and were shocked that we could sit and share a plate together. They would have killed each other. That's what their mother said. It's true, for a time we were adversarial. I didn't like Nikki because I thought I was mature and cool, and he was a baby. I didn't even really think it was cool. I just was a child, and I guess him being a child, the vulnerability he could show that he couldn't hide, reminded me of all the horrible vulnerability I tried to hide every day. All the kindness I was hiding inside me. I remember playing Call of Duty with Nicky and never letting him win, rubbing it in his face, making him cry. It was a stupid, petty thing to do. Maybe there was a time where me and my friends were mean to him, made fun of him in some way. I could just barely remember something like that. Brothers are vicious to each other at a certain point. I guess some never get over it. I realized my loneliness and insecurity and started to accept it, and Nicky became less of a baby. That's how we got to be close. I remember watching movies with him trying to interpret the meaning of certain colors used prominently, trying to find an allegorical understanding of it. I thought it was a bit unnecessary, that he could have been forcing it, but I remember doing the same thing at his age in the same way. I tried to let him learn and express himself. It's strange sometimes, seeing your family out in the world and noticing some hyper-specific detail, mannerism, body language, or speech that can be so familiar that you know is yours, but you didn't know you had until you saw it in someone else. Nicky just recently showed me something he wrote, an attempt at philosophy, and I couldn't judge it. I couldn't even really see it, because to me it was something I had already written. The same language, the same structure, the same essence. But still, it was his, something he truly came to all on his own. Thank you for reading my book, brother. Please don't let mom and dad read it, but make them read the poetry one. That's it. Nick, did you share the link with mom and dad? Could you do that?
Yeah, I can do it. I just saw him a little bit ago and he mentioned it. I
Okay,
can send
because
it to
yeah,
him.
I know they were really wanting to, and they
Yeah,
out or whatever.
I'll send it to him right now.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for the response.
I'm gonna peace out, but thanks so
Okay.
much for having me
Yeah.
and letting me read and um letting me read the book.
Of course, yeah. Thank
Crazy
you.
book.
Yeah.
Um that I'll remember for my whole life probably.
Well, thank you so much for being able to come and be a part of the whole thing, and it really meant a lot to me. It's been awesome
Yeah.
when you get to, really succeed and do a lot of cool things. So it's really cool.
Thank you. I'll see you and happy birthday and good
Thanks.
luck with the book.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Uh,
Cool. Okay. Let's see. ZH is here. Do you want to go, ZH?
Can I go the next after whoever goes next? Is that okay?
Yeah, whatever you prefer. It's no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Luke, do you want to go? I saw you in here. Luca Philadelphia. Are you in here? I saw a Lucas. It could be a different one.
Yeah, we just happen to share a name. I am not Lucas from Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. Dang. I hope he's okay or he shows up. Okay, no problem. Um, Let me see. Daphne, do you want to go?
Yeah, you're gonna have to read your response off the site though.
I know I have it pulled up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
okay. Okay, you can go whenever.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me block out the chat because I'm gonna start laughing in like 2 seconds. Um, okay. Christian McDonough is a 20-something writer from Texas, a writer of 1,000 poems, likely more at this point. He has also written a novel, his first, coming out in today, his Cunus. I reached out to Christian when he asked if anyone wanted to review his upcoming release entitled Cunus. I'm going to say Cunus because that's how I've been saying it. Also, the entire timbre of this piece is I'm speaking for you. So I'm going to do that. Um, Entitled Cunus, which he kept referring to as my Cunus. I kept repeating the phrase in my head over and over and laughing. It became a half-wit mantra I would mutter aloud, referring to any object around my house. An evocative word, something vaguely sexual and furtive, almost a medical term, almost something uttered to a psychotherapist. I need help with my Cunus. Christian was kind enough to show me his Cunus, along with a secondary text, a book of responses by other people who had seen Christian's Cunus, with Christian responding to their responses. Cunus starts off with a preface in which Kristen describes the process of writing the book over 29 days, stating that his aim was to fully express and transcend myself, to go beyond my limits and change. He explains that during this marathon month, everything vile and hidden was expunged from his soul and laid out on the page as sort of a cleansing ritual, a way to feel free, unencumbered, lightened, a way to move on. What follows, aptly enough, is a difficult and unpleasant read. Cunus is a novel, something akin to autofiction, more akin to a past kidney stone. The first Cunus half is a reflex attack of various repugnant thoughts and sensations from Christian's childhood, clearly churning in his stomach for decades. There are a lot of circular sexual preoccupations, as you could likely gather from the title alone. There's imagined incest, crude comments about former classmates and teachers, omnipresent and cloying castration fetish. Each of these recollections is usually preceded or followed by a dramaturgid aside, in which a motley crew of split personalities address each other and Christian himself, often tormenting him for his transgressions. These juxtaposed scenes of jerk-off juvenilia and hallucinatory transcendence produce a jarring effect, but also beg an important question. What is this guy so upset about? We reach the answer to the end of book 1 in the bulbous folds of Blorine. It is in this chapter we find Christian at his most lucid, as he walks us headlong into the heart of the cunus, the center of the spiral, a breakup, a pained, piddling breakup with a woman named Maureen. And as soon as the name is evoked like a keyword which rips the world asunder, we careen off the meat cliff into the latter cunus. Book 2 of Cunus takes everything from the preceding pages and mulches it into a Buffeton and fuck storm. When describing it to outsiders, the only thing I could muster was, it's like Burroughs' cut-up work written by a guy who seems like he's trying to get over a really bad porn addiction. I don't think this gives Cunus any justice, but it doesn't give it any clemency. Rapid-fire scenes of frogs devouring each other whole, kingdoms rising and falling, clown torture, are interrupted with scenes of Christian having sex with his real-life wife. I said girlfriend, but wife, sorry. Waxing rhapsodic about the size of her breasts. The kaleidoscope turns, Christian runs from a zombie nightmare, then immediately attends a film screening of his own life with his ghoulish interlocutor. There's a sort of flashbulb brilliance in these scenes, despite their overall unsavory nature. Language dissolves into a goo puddle, then stretches out into regimented lines of a play, as each of Christian's shard selves takes turns violating each other in the pursuit of conjunction, putrefaction, finally coagulation. I was surprised to find that the dyad to Cunus, its response project, is more than double the length of the primary text itself. It is composed of several short works reacting directly to the Cunus. The contributors mostly source from a Twitter, I think, group chat. Most of their responders are other writers or editors. There's a really great response from Burial Magazine's Z.H. Gill. There's an entire Kenji Saratori novella. Some responders attempt to situate Cunus within a literary subculture. Some express their disgust and bewilderment. Others use the opportunity to craft their piecemeal vision of the Christian life. The most interesting responses come from figures in Christian's real life. There's a response from his brother, one from his former therapist, even one from his current wife, who features heavily in the novel. Reading these initially gave me the feeling that they are some sort of elaborate ruse, Christian pulling the puppet strings on another set of marionettes, but there's no real reason to believe that he wouldn't expose himself to his family and friends. To each of these thoughtful and occasionally thoughtless responses, Christian proffers his own, mostly in the form of either defense or admission, but sometimes in the form of a smutty sonnet, a sigil, or slice of another cunus. Cunus in its response is the beast with two backs, separate yet inseparable, two sides of the same loin. After finishing, part of me feels empty and used. Christian spews and screams in his cribstein, makes all his friends watch, then makes them write a book report on all they've seen, which is exactly what I find myself doing now. It feels like the most egregious end result of narcissism, vulnerable and belligerent in equal measure. But even if this is true, which it probably is, I feel the cunus is instructive, that one could learn from the cunus. The disdain I feel for most works of contemporary transgressive autofiction, for lack of a better phrase, comes from a tendency of their authors to take specific rough patches in their life, such as drug addiction, sex work, etc., and to elevate them to an objective principle of higher evil. Look how depraved I am. I was. Look at all that I've wrought. Isn't it so horrible, so cruel? In reality, these instances in their lives are banal, and their reflections on them are not particularly interesting. They've opted to build a fictional edifice of their lives in order to provide themselves with some sort of validation, to make their experiences more interesting. Less graciously, most of these people are lying and just writing pornography. Christian is a good, honest boy. He doesn't lie. The sucking cunus wound is a maudlin recounting of a failed love. There's no big gratuitous reveal of a life of sex slavery, of irrevocable trauma. These are incredibly banal occurrences over the course of a life, and Christian's emotional response to them makes them feel like truly psychotic issues to have. And he does write it as pornography, but that of a fractalized fuck brain type. The emphasis is placed less on fictionalizing his own life to gussy it up, but on painstakingly recording every loose nut that falls off the wheel, every temper tantrum, every repressed slur, every porn-sick fantasia, and maybe, after all, it was indeed therapeutic. Afterwards, I find myself idly reflecting on my experiences in a Keynesian register, turning over every slimy stone to find a bug smear, and it felt cathartic. It felt good. Returning to the response project, I noticed a disquieting line in its preface, where Christian reflects on the work in toto, confessing, I don't know myself any better now, do I? I'm only more sure of the nothing that I am. This is good. This is bad, I think. It feels bad. It gives me the impression that Cunus is a blown wad, a premature finish, that this attempt to overcome base impulses would come to an ignominious end, seeking deeper and deeper into the mire. I dwelled on this and I wanted answers, not answers to why Cunus was made, but if the conversion had been true, if I were witness to a Saul becoming Paul. I could have sent over an email to Christian asking him this directly, but I didn't want to face the possibility of a fawning, self-flagellating response, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I decided to act on my will. I decided to transform Christian into Mr. Cunus, who, after all, is the one I've been speaking to regarding this review. I'll remove Christian from the equation entirely, and I will allow Mr. Cunus to speak. Below is an interview with Mr. Cunus, a creation of my own, named after Christian's current handle on social media. Mr. Cunus will now speak in the language that I have provided to him. Mr. Cunus is now mine. And in the spirit of these Cunic wars, I present to you. Okay, so for narrative coherence, I'm going to be talking myself, no glasses. Mr. Cunus wears glasses, so we're going to do this when Mr. Cunus is talking so we know who's talking. Sound good, everyone? Okay. Welcome to our oubliette, Mr. Cunus. Please make yourself at home. When I think of your work, I think about a lineage of ejaculatory literature, a tradition that Cunus somehow wriggled itself into. You have Guattari writing Tomb for 500,000 soldiers as a means of coping with the carnage of the Algerian War, others before with World War II. On a lesser scale, you have Hubert Selby Jr. writing The Room, still drying out from heroin and alcohol. Then we have Cunus. So what exactly is your problem? I was raped 52 times in the back of a gay bar. There was no safe word. I went back a week later and I was raped 52 times again. Wow, that's really interesting. Not really. Did you just make that up? Do you think you need to be a rape victim in order to write about rape? That doesn't sound like self-overcoming. It sounds like slave morality. I took you to be an honest guy with an honest book. You're right, you're right. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I was just trying to fit in. It's okay. For all the objection, Kunis, the actual transgressions relived are not actually that crazy. You agonize for pages and pages about making some off-color jokes in school or thinking about your teacher's ass. I say horrible things, horrible, awful things. I think awful things. I don't want to say them or think them anymore. I needed to express them, but it makes me feel terrible. I'm not going to play into this, so I'll keep talking about Kunis. There are long parts of your Kunis that are structured like a play. I saw in one of your interviews that you were inspired by Polish avant-garde poets and playwrights. These parts read to me like Cho Sung-hui's plays, like the one where the son accuses the dad of molesting him and the mom just responds, "Oh shit, oops, sorry, John." The name sounds familiar. He was a Virginia Tech shooter. He wrote them in his creative writing class. I think that one was the deadliest school shooting of all time. I think he may have shot up that class specifically. Crazy stuff. Actually, Kunis reminds me a bit of Matthew Harris's death sentences. Do you know about that? This guy who was a lecturer at UCLA wrote it and sent it around before making terroristic threats towards the school and ended up getting arrested. I think he's on a long-term psych hold. There's sections of Kunis where the writing is really similar. That's terrible. Or Mitchell Heisman, the guy who shot himself on Harvard campus in broad daylight. He wrote this really long suicide note and sent it around to all of his friends before he died, where he goes step by step through the philosophical reasoning he made before deciding to kill himself. He seemed upset about a lot of things. Are you saying that I'm like a mass shooter, that I want to traumatize people? Well, no, those guys seem to have a lot of social and emotional problems, or I guess had them. but it doesn't really seem like you do. You have relative success within the sphere you operate in and seem to have a lot of friends. Friends willing to review your book and write about it, enough to fill up a whole other book. Maybe emotional problems. I don't even know some of these people. I said that in the response project. Why are you acting like I don't have anything wrong with me? Well, you don't need to get mad about it. We're trying to have a conversation. I do think there's something deeply wrong with you. But why do you get to say that? That's how this goes. I get to depict you as a histrionic wallower and me as a cool-headed, self-abnegating interviewer treating it like state-mandated sex offender therapy. Isn't that a violation? You're violating me. Sure, but what are you going to do about it? You don't have a voice here. But you aren't calm and collected. You're being cruel. You're being mean. The whole idea is mean. Yeah, probably. I'm just trying to figure out where this all comes from because it does seem like you're looking for a response, maybe not a traumatic one. You seem to want people to see you as disgusting and abject, as beyond repair, as inherently repulsive. I am disgusting. I am a repellent. I am a filthy, retarded faggot. Do you see what the problem is? It's like when a guy comes up to you on the street jacking off and you yell at him to get the fuck away and he jacks off faster because he also gets off to being publicly humiliated. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Maybe try jacking off yourself. I don't want to. I would rather not publicly masturbate. I'm indulging even by doing this. Did you even like anything about my cunus? It sounds like you just hate me, hate everything about me. I like the part about watching gay porn for the first time. I had a similar experience seeing two guys on steroids all huge kissing each other in the mouth. I thought it was horrific. I was in art class with this juggalo kid who maybe had fetal alcohol syndrome. He would draw furry porn in front of everyone. Did he draw them fucking each other in the ass? Did he draw them with big cocks? He would draw them with human feet and make the feet really big with stink lines and draw them drinking and shooting heroin or smoking meth. Did you want to have sex with him? Not really, no. I wasn't attracted to him, and it also seemed unethical anyway. I like the more poetic writing too. The fake Nietzsche parts were funny. Was that meant as a joke? No, I was being serious. I wanted to talk about pushing past my own boundaries, the memories that limit me, keep me writhing as a cock pile on the floor. That sucks. I was hoping it was a joke. That's what I find irritating. There's a lot of grandiose talk about ecstatic rebirth, cycles of degeneration and regeneration, but at the center of these rotations is the fact that you dated a woman who probably has BPD. I think that I've done that like at least 5 times. That sounds awful. It's fine. It's not that big a deal, which is my point. And the childhood dream stuff too. When I was a kid, I used to have recurring vivid night terrors, like full-blown hallucinations of the zombies from Zelda coming into my bed and ripping me to pieces and sticking their fingers in the stumps of my limbs and peeling my face off. And eventually, I just started repeating the word erase out loud at night and focused so hard my vision would become gray and I'd pass out. The zombie vision went away after a while forever. You could have just dealt with it that way, right? Doesn't seem like you really dealt with it, you just buried it. What if they were there the whole time and you just got lucky every time? What if they were picking the skin bitties off of your bones right now? But why do you need to tell everybody about it? Why do you need the attention? Why are you telling me this? I don't know. I just glanced over the response project again and I realized somebody else beat me to the punch with a fake interview. I think it's fine because that person just took sections of your book for your responses whereas I'm actually talking to you right now, so it's different. Are you telling yourself that or me? I'm not that really worried about the novelty of it. It's a different approach. Do you think this is going anywhere? Do you think you're getting anything out of this? Is it bringing you closer to some sort of truth, some sort of higher purpose, higher meaning? Or is it wasting your time? It's definitely wasting mine. I don't know if there's a truth to find. I think the thing your last therapist said about avoiding vulnerability is real. I don't know if you'd give me a straight answer in the first place. All I want to know is, are you better now? Are we going to see a sparkly new Christian naked as the day you were born in front of God and everyone? There will never be an end to what seeps out of my cunus. Cunus and recunus. There can always be more to say and more to expose. Will it be a cleaner cunus? Nothing can be cleaned when it was once dirtied. That's fucking stupid. That's the point of cleaning. That's why you clean anything. Let 100 cunus bloom.
Awesome. Okay, here's my response. Here's my response. My response. I want to try to overcome my tendencies with these responses to responses, especially since your response slash review is in response to the response project itself. I think my way in is with your comment on the preface to the response project, that me being more aware of the nothing that I am is bad. I was not entirely sure what I wanted when I began the cunus response project. I think there was something sadomasochistic in it because of all the shame I felt about my cunus at the time, wanting to be berated for writing what I wrote and wanting to force others to take it, secretly hoping they'd love me slash it for it. There's a consistent feeling whenever I receive a cunus response, a kind of deadening, an inability to interact with the world around me for a bit as I think about how I was perceived. I retreat into myself instinctually to process it in the response project preface. Ultimately, it feels as though it means nothing, and that the responses as a whole do not have a concrete meaning for me that I can clearly expound upon, but they have an experiential meaning which does something to me over time. I feel as though it helps me to overcome my need for attention, my need to be perceived, my need for love or hate, for pure sensation. For years, I've wanted people to love me and adore me, to be moved by me and think that I am important and special. I imagined, like I'm sure many people do, that this would complete me in some way, that something would change and I'd be forever happy. Some part of me has always known that this would not be the case, but I hadn't experienced enough of the feeling to know it properly. I think I have now. Beyond this, in coming to know myself all the more, I have also come to realize that the more one knows themselves, the less they are that thing. You can only be yourself insofar as what you are being is unknown to you. The self-awareness of an act distances you from the act itself, and you are then performing yourself rather than being yourself. Further, the more you become truly aware of yourself, the more you change and develop. I've realized then that at bottom, I am nothing, just like everyone else. That is to say, we are infinite in everything. We are endless possibility. But don't get me wrong, my desire to be loved, to have attention, etc., and the ambition towards it has only grown all the more. I'm just more honest about it now. I've accepted it. I want to be seen as a godly, saintly figure or some kind of guru. And I'm hoping now, in saying this, that people will see it and be excited about it for me, or disgusted, or slightly irritated, etc. I've been looking into different recent quasi-religious figures who built little followings around them, trying to figure out how they did it and seeing if I might be able to do the same. Why not? I'm thinking Gurdjieff is the best way for me to learn, is the best figure for me to learn from. I think I can relate to him in a significant way. He was a trickster, like me in Wittgenstein. Again, though, I want to do all these things for confusing, comical, ultimately unknowable reasons. And I want to be nice and good, too. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Daphne. I really appreciate it. Okay. Let me see. ZH, did you want to go later? I don't have a set order, so I'm just kind of waiting.
No, I can go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay. Do I just do this? I just go?
Yeah. This is
So
ZH.
wait, is it cunus or cunus? How do you say it?
It's cunus. Everyone was talking about it earlier.
Okay.
It's cunus.
Okay.
But
Thank
you can say cunus if you want to. People have been saying
No, I want to get it right. This is your day.
it's my day. It's cunus day. It's true.
This is called reminiscences of a childhood together. Hello. I was first handed the volume in manuscript form, Cunus, mayhap the Cunus, back in 09, that oxen year, per the zodiacal calendar. I just turned, struck really, 15 years of age, and was preparing myself for smooth entrance into the unfeeling world of the academy, for I had skipped any number of grades. I met our Christian upon his birthing in the residence next to my family's own rum dwelling. I met him maybe 5 minutes after he was born. They did not permit me to carry the baby boy, as I was not so much older than he, and thus of little boy baby carrying strength. But I could pat him on the call, and so I did. This was in New York City, in Lower Manhattan. I'd moved there to attend a fine primary school, the Allen J. Lerner Academy, one of the Anglophone world's very finest primary schools, if not the very, very finest. My parents came along as well. They had little else to do. AJL at least provided them with custodial opportunities. That day, the day of Christian's rigorous birthing, was September 10th, 2001. By the time the South Tower came fiery down, He was already speaking and singing. Not quite complete thoughts or songs, though nearly there. He signed onto the search and rescue effort, scooping chili onto dulled metal trays for the stronger volunteers. He helped with the cleanup too, and has battled with a cancer in his throat ever since. I love a smart baby. I love an intelligent boy. I am told I am an intelligent boy. My family home lived in a film of dust for years because of 9/11 until it was finally knocked down. Baby Christian was the first baby to ever build a building. He put me to work. I nailed the nails. Baby Christian would shuffle beneath the beams, dangling like some maniacal capuchin. He'd throw candies at me, rewards for my vigorous labor. He had Sizzler shipped to us from its Forest Hills location. Our eager patronage extended that Sizzler's location business life for an extra year at minimum. They let us take the salad bar home when they finally went bust for real. I built a sort of sarcophagus for the salad bar. We'd fill the Byzantine trough with fresh greens and carrots. Now Sizzler has left New York. Baby Christian would roll off the obsidian sneeze guard and onto the floor. He'd do so with such force and speed that he'd bounce up onto the swinging ornate light fixtures. For at some point, I had replaced the wood of the floor with a bouncy polyurethane. At school, Christian excelled, even as a baby. He won the baby spelling bee, spell apple, spell table. The spelling bees are where we learned about sex. Teacher let us see beneath her clothes if we spell good. And this got her put in Bedford Hills maximally securitized. Christian would write her. I miss your body, he wrote, which got her put in solitary. Goo goo gaga. Eventually, we forgot about her. We stopped spelling right, so they let us pick another activity. I like to push Christian on the swing. Our family moved together to California, pooling resources for a condo in Beverlywood. A tight squeeze, to say the least. We would clean semen stains on the Fox lot for pennies. The freshest ones we'd scrape into Ziploc sandwich bags, stow them in the freezer. We were hoping to one day build a beautiful army from our dormant samples. It was thought that the Pacific Sea air would kill the cancer growths in Christian's throat for good. Gulls stalked the Fox lot for a chance at swooping upon the finest animal hair toupees. I am told they make for excellent nesting material. We met Miss Anna Paquin on the set of Bryan Singer's film X-Men. Between takes, she'd wipe the sweat from her face onto little Christian. The movie lights are so very hot. Alan J. Lerner opened a satellite campus in Duarte. We learned to ride mini motorcycles for the commute, splitting lanes all the way to school. The bikes shook like ignominy, engines too strong for their itty frames. It was nice on the prostate if you could maintain control. We often mashed our skulls into windshields. New teacher kept us after class, and he would relieve himself in his pants, and we would watch. Then we went out for sports. From the third floor vantage of my new apartment, I hear a mechanical woman's voices scream. Though I cannot discern the actual content of her tirades, I believe it to be a recording repeated every 15 or 30 minutes. When I explore around my building on foot at ground level, the sound eludes me. No one here seems to know what I'm speaking of. For a time, Christian wished to be a rock star. This was his most fervent and palpable desire. He tired everyone out, discussing this dream of his endlessly. But he would not perform his songs for anyone, not even for me. Naturally, no. No one was able to properly determine if he had any aptitude in his musical pursuits. It was late in the year 2008, and all the houses on the cul-de-sac surrounding ours, I mean in Duarte, this was in our Duarte home, we'd moved into it to be closer to school, and because the condo flooded and cultivated dark, carcinomatous molds, were foreclosed upon by greased-up degenerate bankers. It was sick. Fun sick, I mean. We had the end of the street to ourselves, us kids, and by now a few more had joined us. Classmates. They enjoyed our methods and joined us. They adopted our methods. We stripped the tiles off all the roofs and threw tiles at each other. Yes, we certainly drew blood. We licked it off each other for funsies and the taste. Someone encouraged this. Who was it? When we were bored with this violence, we carted off to Disneyland. The submarines were operating again after many years of fruitless dormancy, and once more, one could walk through Sleeping Beauty Castle, its interior having before this been sealed from us guests ever since, yes, you guessed it, 9/11, but now no longer. And since Christian could not yet drive a car out on the adult real roads, he'd satiate his heavy foot on the Autopia cars, which at the time were gas-stinking Honda jalopies. We tried to run them off the center guiding track, but never managed to. Someone did recently, though, accelerating properly into just the right curve. Honestly, it impresses me immensely. In the schoolhouse toilet foyer, Christian and I would watch each other piss our respective pantses. We'd hold races. Whose pisses reached the floor first, dripping down and out the bottoms of our trousers? Usually, I won. Eventually, the counselor decided to separate us, which was probably the correct call. And by the way, I've never read a book. I have no idea what I'm talking about or going for here. Thank you all so much.
My little Zed head, little Gil, you've destroyed it. Do not tell them no. Do not tell them all our beautiful little secrets. Do not tell them no about all the years of torture it took to perform the cunus. Our life together, oh. I remember you better than my own mother. The first real impression I had, your face, your blue eyes mirroring my own, your child's stubble beard already grown to 3-4 inches in length, though the hairs were thinly spread. Oh, and the membrane sac that I held myself in, the fetal reckoning I could not truly overcome. One of my songs, as best I can recall, an ode to the victims. Oh, why, aeroplane. Ooh, ooh, stop the train. Not my best work, a bit juvenile perhaps, but my hope was that the simplicity and neological language would more directly convey the emotion of the disaster that was my second day of life. And look now, Zane Hull, I've shared with you my work, my art, the hidden ones which happen to be musical. You've read it, yes, this song of mine? And you were here to hear it. I know. I was never the same after the accident. I suppose that was it. Confident shot, all you've done to me. I'll never forgive you for that sarcophagus. But really, why shouldn't I have joined? Why shouldn't I have painted it with the visage of our mutual love, your mother? She thought it was sweet. I shouldn't be so bitter, though. I remember such sweet times in that building we built. The two of us, a sweet and delicate pair that all looked to with esteem. Our smiles, teeth so fulsome and ripe as we beat the wood and hammer and steel to the born emblem of a newfound solidarity. Against the treachery of abstracted terror, you and I, we together know they cannot be blamed for what they did. No blame can be established for any instance which overcomes reason and several thousand lives. Similarly, as you know, with older, relative to the male victim, female sexual predators, I sense in your writing a reticence to admit to your own deep desire and sorrow with the loss of teacher. No, I apologize. She is gone. Out from our lives. No need to bring it all up again. All this waste of time and thought and life for some broad. I am a married man, married to an appropriately younger woman than myself. My beautiful baby wife, you know, she was in that spelling bee too. There was a moment, Zine Hole, when you and I both looked into her eyes with our own bulbous domes of vision, our sacred and elevated C6 scepters, and turning to one another, knowing the other's thought, for it was in both the very same thought, then laughed. We never spoke to her. I only found out it was her the other day. She said something lewd. Anyway, well, this is quite important. My album is out. It's called Mystery Down on 2nd Street, under the artist name Poran Lanitu. I released it like 5 years ago. I didn't tell you or anybody else because I was embarrassed, as you so graciously pointed out. I've wanted to tell you, to be honest. That's the reason I did this whole Cunus Response project. Bullshit. So, to tell you, and potentially other people, but let's be honest, no one is going to read this except for you, and you're my best childhood friend. It's online. You can look it up. P.S. I want to piss with you again, to cross the streams. For years after you left me, I turned to the left or to the right, wherever that day's neighboring urinal occupant happened to stand, and say, solid stream, with a little wink, wishing I was looking into your eyes again, ZH. Okay, that's it.
Happy birthday, man. This is a delight.
Thank you. It's been really a good day. I really appreciate you making it out and everything. So we gotta piss together sometime soon. I mean, it's been a while, so
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
yeah. Okay. Let's see. Do you want to pick who goes next, India? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Just
Where are
points.
we
Come
at?
on. Should we do Fletcher?
Morgan Reed.
Okay. Morgan Reed, are you ready?
God
Piss
damn it,
circle?
if I ain't, then I don't
Okay.
know what.
Okay.
First off, happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I was looking at when I was reading cunus and when I submitted the response.
Yeah.
I read cunus when I was unemployed, and this was in summer 2025. So the fact that it's been a year is really fucking crazy. I think this was like the first. I mean, it's been a minute since I've sat down and read something, like actually like read something. So maybe that's why I'm a little fucked up now.
That's okay.
No, it's a good thing. I mean, I read cunus printed out and on my laptop with the brightness up fully in public spaces, like at coffee shops. So I was not ashamed of anything cunus related. I was fully in the cunus, you know. Yeah, and I started doing the response when I got this job that I have now. I've had it for a year. It's crazy to see, just, you know, you can start with cunus and then end up with cunus. So, you know, what really mattered was cunus, and I don't know, I've been enjoying that fact and that realization. So thank you, Christian. You know, it's been a good cunus journey, I will say. Compared to a lot of things in the lit scene, and compared to what I've like when I was reading cunus, I was like, I could write this shit. But then I really thought about it. I really fucking thought about it. I was like, no fucking way in hell I could write this shit. There's like no fucking way. It's just the way that I mean, 29 days. And I felt like my response was like in a day. Like I just sat down, wrote it, you know, that you got my just natural inclinations to just kind of have no anxiety when it came to writing. So, goddamn, God bless cunus. I have a Google Doc for my response. There we go. Okay, I posted it in the chat for my people that like to use their eyes to listen to noise and voices and sounds and shit. Okay, so I'm gonna read. This is not an end. This is not cunus, but this is cunus. Propositions and yearnings, philosophies of the what, but not the who. The wanting of nothing, but synchronizing everything into everything. Division, subtracted and added to multiplication. Simplified foolishness that makes you beg on your knees for the sperm shot of conception logic. Fucked fucking, fucked more and more like a fresh fuck, the raw fuck, the decaying fuck, that fucks the fucking back to conception. A preposition fuck, if fuck, fuck on from fuck to fuck. Unknown pronouns, the futility of knowing, pleasures in blank canvases, prophetic lands of online landlines, life as disease, as hatred itself, bleeding from the pee-pee hole, surrounded by the unfleshed, veins and arteries hang from the sky like fishing lines, bones of ancient warriors burn down into gasoline, hermaphrodites engaged and rearranged internally. Cunus is not a book, rather it is pure death. It is the surreal of Max Ernst, the holy mountain Jodorowsky wishes he could have directed. It is Eraserhead inverted inside of itself. Cunus is language manifested by feedback. It is the words we forget in the shower. It is the feeling of coming before you come. It is the blood in your dick before you get hard. Cunus is perpetual digestion. Vomit that never really exits the stomach. Filing cabinet was almost forgotten about, but Christian makes it a point to tell the reader that the filing cabinet deserves an ending, even if endings are sometimes pity. It made me think about the quote near the end. I am the words on the page. That's what we all become. That's how we all start. We are a document of birth, documented into youth, inked into puberty, stamped into Social Security, typed into W-2s, scanned into payrolls. We are language made flesh and unfleshed like the swine that we are, filed away into the cabinets to be forgotten, begotten. There are no fourth walls. In fact, there are no walls. Cunus is a book that is an extension of man as flesh as language, and to focus on Fang and the Nips and India, Wolf Girl and King Seaman and Sharto Larto and Clown Mother and Gunji and Maureen is all a distraction from Christian as modus operandi of the novel as visual aggregation. Things seem to come together senselessly, and our comfort as experienced beings is to make it rhyme, to make rhythm, to feel inspiration so deep inside of our bowels that we shit excellence and piss success. Accept Cunus as therapeutic disintegration, and you will not be disappointed. If you love novels, you will hate Cunus. If you hate mediocrity, you will love Cunus. Let the book strip you down and fuck you. Let the pages slice open your urethra. Let the words clip onto your skin and pull back your fingernails. Let the plot choke you unconscious. Let the plot infect your subconscious. Let the characters manifest in your nightmares. Let them be anything you wish. Cut off your cock and find yourself stuffed in that middle school locker where no teacher or textbook could help you, because knowledge is mind rape, and your genitals belong to Christian now. Your brain is shackled to flesh. Let go! Let go! Just accept the crucifixion. Empathy and love are the way out, the way in, and the way through Cunus. The deck of cards deals you a Joker card. Do you play it? Do you stare at bodies in war trenches? Do you scroll because it makes you feel something? Do you hate yourself as much as people think you do? Have you listened to Insane Clown Posse? Did the clowns put balloons into your ass too? Do you regret the first time a woman broke your heart? Can you remember what the purpose of your heart was before love? Did you think about sucking boy cock? Are you in denial of your bisexuality? What are your opinions on race? Are we forever mixed? Throw yourself overboard into the mouth of Moby Dick. Call me Cunus. Watch Blue Velvet. Kill yourself. The cabs are red, the cicadas are green, and the sky is an open blue like a Windows XP crash page. The window cannot be closed. The only option is suicide. To kill yourself is to be yourself. To be yourself again is to kill yourself again and again and again. Fuck you! I'm sorry, this isn't personal. This is Cunus. This is suicide. This is anal exploration. This is childhood cum farts. This is Charlie Brown all the way fucking down, you peanut sucking fuck face shithead bitch. Are you capable of killing? Are you going to fill in the gaps? That's right. Wait. Yeah. Are you going to fill in the gaps? That's life. Right. We're in the mall. We're in the gap, and the gap must be filled. The food court is a madhouse for molestation. Can you believe they made a station for molesting? It's quite unseemly, but here we are again. The boundaries reify themselves. You can shoot holes in them, but they reform like the bad guy in Terminator 2. This is like that time when your teacher bent over to help you with math homework and you saw her tits and you failed the class just to see her more during summer school. This is a kiddie pool pissing kink. This is a fairy tale, but not like Taylor Swift's. This is being stabbed by a homeless person. This is life. This is boredom in the forest of fucking up, the Silk Road of trauma, the halls of voices, the finality of being beaten to death. Save your seed. Save yourself. Don't cry. It's all going to happen again. Because everything is cunus.
Did cunus really affect you, Mr. Morgan Reed, as you seem to be implying? Something I've wondered about is the honesty of the responders. I genuinely hope to affect people deeply with my writing, so I hope it's true. But it makes sense for people to exaggerate. Some might just want to help the book along or to perform a bit in a way that is similar to cunus itself. When I was younger, I told my friend, Blaine in the book, that I hoped as a writer I could impact someone in the same way that the writer Witkesy impacted me. Witkesy made me feel very intensely. I felt like he was my soulmate in a way, like I could have written those plays, or as though they were written just for me. His play The Water Hen especially. It was incredibly moving and inspiring. I don't really know how to put it. I think it's what made me want to write, though I was trying to write films already before then. But this made me pursue writing for its own sake. It seems like you really understand me. I haven't finished it, but I started your book, Abuser. I finished it now. I felt panicked because it seemed very similar to my style of writing in a way. So maybe I will understand you soon, too. I think we look somewhat similar as well. I'm a big fan of Max Ernst and the films that you mentioned. Do you really think my cunus is the surreal of Max Ernst, the holy mountain Jodorowsky wished for, an inverted eraserhead? These statements seem designed to make me want to jerk myself off to death again. They're perfectly calculated to inflate my ego and self-worth, so much so that they end up meaning nothing to me, because they are so unbelievable. I love your questions. They're like me too. Some of them seem like they could be for me. Answers. Yes. I would look intensely in passing. I scroll to distract from stress and responsibility. Depends who's asking. Most people would think I don't hate myself much. I haven't. Yes, sadly. I guess I don't. Maybe I would say it was absorption in some way. Sometimes, maybe a little. I think there are cultural differences between peoples that are significant, but not necessarily related to race. I think it is reasonable to make judgments on others' values, but ultimately think people should be taken individually. I like to try to understand people. I assume you mean racially mixed, given the context? I guess so. Otherwise, we are mixed beings, unless maybe we attain a perfect enlightenment. That might not exist. I'd love to go to the Gap with you and hang out at the mall. We could read shitty manga at the Books A Million and try on cosplay outfits at the Asian Living store. We could eat a full meal from the free samples in the food court. We could try on silly sunglasses and hats while an 80s pop song plays on the store speakers. We are cunus. That's it. Thank you, Morgan Reed. I want to say, you said you didn't think you could write a cunus, but when I read your writing, I was like, oh man, he's already done it. So yeah, I think you could do it.
I think I just cunused.
Yeah,
oh my
he's
god!
cunusing all over himself. Are you seeing this on stream?
I gotta change. I got before I cunus
Making
again.
a mess. This is grotesque. This is cunus.
This is cunus. This is cunus.
Cunus stay. Okay. All right. Do you want to pick the next one again, India? Rudy, it's your turn. Are you ready?
Oh, my body is ready.
Okay. Do you need to like screen share or anything?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I could share my screen. It's just gonna be like a little window. I can read the thing first though, if you need to get it ready or whatever.
Is there a way to do it? I haven't really used Zoom before. Do I have to give you permission somehow?
Yeah, I think unless it's default enabled on your thing, you might have to give me permission.
Can you try and do it? Is there like a button for you?
I think I can request it. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, maybe it'll just let me do it, actually.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay. I don't need to share a sound. Okay. It's a video.
If it doesn't work, I can just show the book on my screen because I have it.
Oh yeah, well I got one that's like in color. So is it
Okay,
cool
yeah.
if I just share that one? Cool. See it that way.
Oh, it's working.
Y'all see this?
It's loading right now. Okay, see it now.
Sick, yeah. So I'm just gonna read the little statement here before
Okay.
I go through the thing, and I'm gonna pretty much skim through the thingy. Yeah, so I will say that Cunus by Christian McDonough is the best piece of assigned reading I've done since some months ago when I read Artoria's Molly Coward, which was the best piece of assigned reading I'd done since high school when I skimmed through Orwell's 1984 and got jolly about some of the fascist parts and invented headcanon where the fascists were gender fuck fascists, eliminating the divide between men and women. Mr. Cunus asked me to respond to this work. I'm still reading the book. Books, especially novels, are hard for me to read. I don't like novels as a format. Yeah, I have ADHD and tics that make reading a chore, but honestly, the idea of a novel just doesn't excite me. It takes a huge amount of work to get me to read one, or a hugely unhinged and penetrative author who hits me in some way. Mr. Cunith is such an author. I wanted to give this work the best shot I had, and I'm not a critic in any formal sense, and I won't speak authoritatively about Cunith because that would just sound retarded. My personal experience with the work was frustrating. I wanted to engage with it more, and this is no fault of the writing, but also very neat in the fact that I feel like I made a personal connection with Christian while reading it. To force myself to engage with the best parts of my brain with cunus, which I believe are my game design parts, if any, I turn reading it into a game-like activity using an RPG I designed called Escape, where the player engages with and creates marginalia for a written work that disturbs them. To play this with a PDF Christian sent, it's the Kunis draft that I have. I created a program which let me draw on the pages, and a small PDF of those pages is packaged with this response. Yeah. But when I started this, I didn't expect to be disturbed at all. I previously played this game with Damien Ark's Fucked Up, a badass book if you stumble on that one. I write all kinds of unhinged, fucked up shit myself. Transgressive doesn't disturb me. What caught me off guard was the similarity of thought, if not total similarity of experience, that I felt while reading. The game Escape asks the player to cover up sections of the work with text or images of their own that communicate their disturbance. Most of mine communicate what I felt was a shared artistic spirit burden between myself and the author, Mr. Cunnis. Reading through the book felt bad, but in a way that tangibly deepened my connection with someone, Christian. That is truly rare for me. My playthrough ended on page 81 when my digital ink bladder ran dry. And yeah, so this is like a screenshot of the little program or whatever. And basically, yeah, it lets you spray ink all over a page. So this is Makona's response, and it's mostly visual. I'm just gonna scroll through pretty fast and just, yeah, I'm a moron. I'm fucking retarded. Yeah, so yeah, Konas, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I have these little footnotes in here, and I'll read some of those, but not all. So this is like an example of one of the responses. It starts, I believe, on page 7. This is like the beginning, the way beginning of the book. And yeah, like there's a lot of stuff in this book that got me thinking about myself, because it's so like, I mean, Christian, you pour out so much of yourself in the book that like it's almost impossible to read it like and not think and not do the same, like and not kind of have that bleed on you, sort of, which is I think pretty cool. I mean, honestly. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I talk to myself. Like I said, I read this book kind of in my mind voice. Um, I read some of the parts, like Christian talking as himself in my own voice, which was kind of creepy and cool. Yeah, so let's go down and find some thingies. Let's see. These are some of the images, little doodles I did. This is the nymph part, which is one that kind of hit me kind of hard. And as you can see, it's kind of bleeding. I use yellow for that because that's like, uh, like a basically like a distraction. Like what it is, the premise of the game is basically you play these little squids called cuttlefish. Um, and they're basically like, for lack of a better term, like kind of social justice squids or some kind of parody of that. And like the idea is they pretty much have they deploy different forms of ink to assuage their discomfort, basically. And this is yellow ink, so this is pretty much like a distraction. It's like, yeah. So yeah, I shot myself out of there, out of this nymph part because it was too buku for my own issues with female intimacy, I guess, if you want to call it that. Yeah. Um, this one is greens. This is like being like, it's kind of like you hide from whatever the big predator thing on the page is. And this is, yeah, I hide, I hide from math. That I know that may be like super referential to myself, but it's basically like, I have like math anxiety or whatever. So this was a part that kind of mentioned that. And I mentioned Lewis Carroll's symbolic logic for some fucking reason. All right, so pink, I believe, is one that's pretty much um, you basically invent your own one. It's like a freebie, like a free free parking type of situation where you invent your own. Like you choose a color and just draw something on there. And yeah, this is my cunus bromance. Oh, let's see. This is another pink one. So I think I basically just drew Kurt Cobain here. Likes to shoot his gun, etc. There's the Nirvana logo. Please don't sue me if you see this on YouTube. Whoever the fuck is left in Nirvana and still gives a shit. Oh, it's going down a little bit more. Another pink. So this one was one of the parts about creative endeavors and kind of creative stuff, I believe. And that got me thinking about how my own creativity is kind of not the healthiest cycle, not the healthiest way of handling things. And so that got me to this image where it's like, yeah, creativity is basically a gun in my hands or many people's hands. And I think that's, oh, did I skip one? Nope. Okay. So this one here, another pink. Yeah, this is kind of like a reference to like the connection I felt with the author, I guess, as kind of someone who's obsessed with like auto-fictional things. And somebody, I think it was Daphne's response referenced this like idea of like, well, is this narcissism or is this like or is this like basically like is this like valuable basically is one of the things that from what I got from it that response was like, well, hey, is this something that like like what value does it have just to like to reflect in on yourself, and is that toxic or is that kind of like a thing that can become just a big spiral, a big endless recursion or whatever. But like, and that is kind of what I was thinking about with this. It's like, well, why are we creating? What are we doing here? And I kind of drew myself as half me, half Christian. If you can tell, my art's really shitty. So, but yeah, that's kind of what that one's about. a green one. This is another hiding one. Um, this is I shall kill myself. And that brought up like suicidal ideation. When I go to the doctor, I always say like, yeah, you can just pretty much put nearly every day for everything. So suicide ideation, and I'm sure a lot of you understand the same deal. But suicidal ideation is kind of a deal, kind of a big deal. So yeah, cunus with the RX. Hell yeah. Nearly every day I put that there. Purple. Yeah, so this is one where the ink like I forget what purple does. I think it's basically something that well anyway, this was the part with the racism, like one of the like we were like either I think this is near the part where he uses the N-word or he's talking to the guy that um either way it was like well basically like hey like is this racism like real or is it like kind of a bit? And yeah, so basically like that's something I've experienced with my own life. Kind of like, is this, are the things I'm saying like, like a Touretteism or are they some kind of like, is this what I think or is this not what I think at any given time, not just with race. Um, not just with that, but with other things too. And it's like, yeah, there's things that can become a bit and go beyond like a bit. And there's things that can, I don't know, it just made me think a lot about like how recursive like identity and shit like that is and how that kind of transfers into other, like into the jokes you tell, into the fucking like the kind of crazy like situations you find yourself in, how you respond to like people doing edgy shit. Like, I guess that's what it made me think of. So I drew this picture here. It's like, yeah, Um, so, and this was the note I left with it. I said, there are periods in my life where I say racist and sexist things and mean them. Or at least I mean for them to cause harm to someone. I don't know that I believe them. I chase the ghosts of former me who authentically liked Nazis through my mind castle, question him, and he's always fleeing to a different room, and there's always heavy construction. Yep, so kind of yeah, kind of like a darker period of my life I'm chasing there, I guess. And yeah, like I think a lot of people can cop the idea, maybe not. I won't speak for everybody, but I think there's this thing where like that people do where it's like if you know that you're gonna hurt somebody, you want to hurt somebody, you're gonna use the most hurtful tool. And I think that's something that I've done myself. So, not to get too confessional, but yeah, I think that's something I've definitely done. So this again, this great tome kind of basically made me think of all this stuff, put it in my head, and it's like, yeah, like self-consideration is definitely a good thing, a cool thing. And I'll just keep going on. I don't think this is the whole text, but I want to keep it fairly short, so I'll just this is just a cool picture I drew of Scarface for some reason here. I think it was just like the book is a weaponized object, which is pretty fucking cool. Yeah, I said basically this book is the best kind of loaded gun for me, plus cocaine, Scarface. Yeah, hell yeah. Um, this one, that's my dad. Uh, and this is some kind of facsimile of my dad, I guess. And yeah, I have a League of Legends quote here. I love League of Legends. But yeah, this is basically like, yeah, I think this is the part about um parents, like it had something to do with like a father or someone like that mentioned, and it was like, yeah, it kind of conjured some of the stuff from me with between my parents and daddy, etc. Uh, oh, here's more of the I think the racist stuff here. Yeah, Bailey loved being a fucking racist. Yeah, and this is where I basically try to go back on that footnote, but I'm not going to go back on it obviously because I already told you the truth. But no, in this I like, I was trying to make a reference to the footnote about the racisms above. So yeah. Now this one here, I believe this is some kind of like blue is basically like something where you like it's a distraction or something like that. So um yeah, and like yeah, it's like oh no, I again with the prejudice and that type of deal. It's I'm referencing that first note again and going back and saying, yeah, my these are my authentic prejudices that come out from time to time and like, oh, I'm just like, no, actually I'm just being funny here. Ha ha ha, me doing a coon dance, me cooning about being, a nigger or whatever. This one here. Oh, here we go. Here's some more gender stuff. Yeah, so this is basically this is the part where like I think there's something going on. I know like the bisexuality thing like comes up here and that brought up a lot of gender stuff for me. Yes, I hate the fact that sex and gender exists. I want fascistic control over my body and sensations, which would be pretty neat. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've asked the doctors to sterilize me. I don't think they will. But yeah, that's what this kind of is. It's just kind of my wrestling with that as I read through the text. Well, probably one of the more uncomfortable parts. You can see I have a huge amount of it blocked out here and drawn over in my own crude bullshit. That was probably one of the more uncomfortable parts of it for me, just to do a play-by-play. Uh, yeah, the sexy teacher part. Yeah, I mean everybody's had a sexy teacher probably, um, unless you were like homeschooled or something, and then maybe even then, I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, uh, seventh grade English teacher probably. Yeah, for me that did it. Hell yeah. This is like red, I believe, is some kind of flight or fight or flight type deal. As you can see, I have a huge amount of this uh blocked out. This is more of the teacher stuff. Yeah, that kind of childhood, pretty uncomfortable part of my life, sexually, I guess. Um, a lot of feelings there that I did not understand very well and did not deal with very well. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this is my note I have here. I said, I authentically suspected that this passage would make me have to masturbate, and I couldn't masturbate because I was writing in the work van at work. So I was maneuvering through this text at my job. I had the little program on my tiny little phone. And yeah, I just didn't want to have to jerk off in the work van because I would be fired and probably thrown in jail. So yeah. Here we go. So the end, good ending. Yeah. So I guess this is like kind of where I hung it up. I put some stupid reverential shit in here, like, yeah, being I was super jealous of the ending, like this or where I left off. So first of all, like there's a huge amount of this book that I'm really jealous of. I'll just admit that. This is like and another thing is the Cunus Response Project is like a perfect like encapsulation of like what I try to do with stuff. So I'm like super jealous of that. Christian, that is a fantastic idea, and I just wanted to say that. But yeah, so that's the bad ending, I guess. Genocide run, go back and reread all the footnotes as me. And the pacifist run is go reread all the footnotes in the voice of Daniel Johnson, my favorite singer, who's not any better than Wesley Willis and might be worse. But yeah, and this is just the Bart Simpson thing. This was actually cut from the main book because it literally has Bart Simpson there. And since I've done that, I have actually read more of it. I have not finished the book yet. Yeah, this is the game that I made in the back. That's my Kunis response. Thank you very much, everyone, and Christian for facilitating all this. It's so good, dude.
Thank you so much, Rudy. I really appreciate you kind of going into each of the images too and kind of like talking about it. It really added a lot of depth to it in a nice way.
Oh good. Yeah, no problem.
And well, I should say the image is basically there. It's just Bart's blacked out a little bit. So here's it in the book.
Yeah, it's like a silhouette of Bart. I actually like what you did there. It's really fucking cool.
Well, Cody did that. He just like sent it back and he was like, "Hey, I had to do this." But I was like, "It looks pretty cool." And I put a note saying that he was there originally. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, it has the note where it's like, yeah, Bart Simpson was here, but we had to take it out.
yeah. Oh man. But thank you for saying all that. It really means a lot to me. And I mean, you do some things that I think are like amazing, and I don't think I could ever do like with the video games and stuff. I'm not really smart enough to do programming and computer things so much, but I really appreciate it. Okay, okay, I'll read my response back. Mine has some images too, if you can see here. This is a drawing of me and Rudy. There's Rudy, if you can see, and there's me. It says, "I feign self-insight to avoid death." Death. His had said, "I feign death, I think, to avoid self-insight." So kind of a little flip on it. There's words too. Shit is banging. Here's a pic I made. Me and Rudy are friends IRL now, since he wrote this. Like to imagine Rudy and I going on a cool space adventure as one unified chaos being, killing all sentient life forms and struggling against the thought of killing lesser beings like dogs or cats. Here's a pic of us as the chaos being. There's me and Rudy as unified chaos being. I don't know if you can tell, but that's me and Rudy as a chaos being. And there's a little text in there. It says, "We were young. The treachery was sustainable then," and I misspelled a lot of words. "Dark reckoning of the Darkling Wraith Slayer, who freaking murdered 1 billion anyway. Me and Rudy killed them all. Son of Lost who beckons us now. Come and take what they have." I can't read that. "Sorrowful stay and go and take the rest that the maim and torture and meta the main." Kind of like a little game reference there. Okay, now there's more text. "There's like a huge caterpillar monster squid too, and it tries to rape us. But we're so powerful, we cry out, 'We cannot be raped!' And the boom of our voice obliterates the huge caterpillar monster squid into 1 billion pieces, out into outer space. And like a millennia later, we're still alive because we cannot be raped nor killed. We have to venture out in our tube dome ship to the distant planet with the Bortinians, and we project our chaos being face onto the surface of the tube dome ship, so we have another balloon head situation going on, and scream and blow up the planet. We had to blow it up and all the inhabitants because they were caterpillar monster squid offspring that were hyper intelligent. This is the origin story of the Bertinians, by the way. I didn't tell it in the Cunus book because they're boring and I wanted to degrade them. But it's cool. I'm telling it here now because me and Rudy had fun. Again, with our awesome sound wave powers. Then we go home and make a video game, then play some League of Legends. Here's a map of Bortinia too. Here's a little map I made of the place. Yeah, that's it. Rudy, I want to say, did you see they released League of Legends Classic Edition? Pretty cool.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, my brother's been playing a bunch. He's super into it. The one who was here earlier.
Yeah. No, I'll have to get on there.
Yeah.
So tell your brother to send me their IGN.
Yeah, for real. I was thinking you all should play together.
I'll probably get him banned though. Unfortunately, I mean I don't want to do that.
Okay, maybe you can make
But no.
perfect out or something.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Well, thank you, dude.
Of course, thank you, Rudy. I really appreciate it. It means a bunch to me. So, thank you. Okay, Connor, do you want to go?
Yeah,
Connor,
can you hear me?
Yeah. How's it
All
going?
right. Good. Thanks for having me on and sending me cunus. That's my preferred pronunciation. It was so fun to read it, and I think this is such a cool idea. I love what you're doing.
Cool. It means a lot to me. So, and it's great to have you be a part of it.
And a happy birthday.
Thank
and
you.
publication day.
Yeah. Tried to, ride that wave a little bit,
That's good to put everything together at once. It makes it special. Probably going to be the most memorable birthday you ever have.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. India said
Hell yeah.
that's true. He said I'll have a better one.
Hell yeah.
We'll see. Okay. Ready whenever you are.
All right. Let's make sure everyone can hear me. My mic's okay. I've had some trouble with the computer before, and I want to make sure it's good before I get started, because mine's might be one of the longer ones. It is pretty big. and it's going to take a while to start to finish. I have a lot to say about cunus, so if everyone can hear me, my response is called Cunus Encyclopedia Footnote. Christian McDonough, Texan experimental poet, authored vast book.
Whoa, dude, you really took a lot of time up. There's other readers, it's it's kind of something to think about.
Well, I'm something of a diva. If someone's gonna invite me and is blessed with my presence, I am gonna, I have to make love to the mic. That's all I can say. It takes a while.
It's okay. Just something to just think about. Not trying to call you out, really, but okay. Here's my response back. Connor wrote exactly 9,999 words on Cunus and myself, then asked ChatGPT to summarize his text in exactly 9 words. I count 8. The thoughts I had in relation to the response were broad and meaningful, filled with yearning. Connor, I care about you in some way. I hope we will soon meet. Update. We met. We signed each other's books. It was great. Here's a picture. There's a picture that we met. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta come back to New York, bro.
I know, I want to. My friend was saying I should try and do a little book tour and go to New York and stuff. I was kind of thinking about it.
You should. I know a bunch of places that I could get you in to read for.
Yeah. Okay, maybe so. I'll let you know. I'll reach out to you.
Hell yeah.
Oh, let me see. I think Fletcher said he has to leave soon. Let me go. Fletcher, you want to go right now?
Why don't we have Eric go? I'll go after him.
Okay. Oh wait, did Eric say something? Okay. Eric, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah, hell yeah. Happy Cunus Day, right?
That's right. It's Cunus Day. Only happens
Yeah.
once a
Well,
year.
how old are you?
I'm 28.
28? Oh wow.
Today.
You should write another one for your 30s, and then write another one for your 40s, and then another one for your 50s.
Yeah. That'd be fun. I was thinking, I actually kind of had that plan in the back of my head. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, I'll get going on mine. Mine's called An Accumulation of Nothings. So, dearest Christian, while reading Cunus, I noticed an anomaly within your Cunus. A little bit about myself. With every text I read, I have a compulsion to underline every instance of the word nothing and its variant forms, mostly nothingness, and found within Cunus 136 instances of the word nothing strewn across 275 pages. This is the initial draft. So 0.002% of Cunus is nothing. That, for one, is a lot of nothing. For context, the Thomas Hardy book, Jude the Obscure, has only 98 nothings, 0.0006% nothing. Moby Dick, 116 nothing, 0.0005%. Now, dearest Christian, here's the strange part. You'd expect on some level that these nothings are spread somewhat equally across these almost 300 pages. If this were the case, you would see a nothing about once every 2 pages. However, this is not the case. To my surprise, Christian, the nothings seem to have found themselves clumped together inside your cunus. In fact, there are often wide swaths in between the nothings, but then all of a sudden, an accumulation of 4 or 5 nothings will appear upon a single page, as though the gravitational weight of these nothings is attracting each nothing to more nothings. Then it occurred to me, this is cunus. A circling of a drain. The whole of your suffering, real or imaginary, in motion towards some great center. The varied vicissitudes of your inner chaos bending toward this great spiral of nothings. There is a propulsion to it, I found, a mechanism at play, like vibrant galaxies coalescing upon invisible currents, how black holes in the blackness of space gravitate towards each black other, nothings compounding upon nothings, the proud waltz of a strange, all encompassing singularity toward blackness, where there's nothing left but the nothings. Which begs the question only you can answer. What is it you see when you stare at your helical array of nothings, Christian? What is the condensed core toward which all your nothings are being pulled? With love, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, before I read my response back, I want to point out that my response to Taylor Jean's response preceded Eric's. So that one's 99 poems. And then there's this response. Okay, so Fletcher, do you want to go now?
Sure.
It was nothing. Okay, sweet. Okay, whenever you're ready. Thank you, Fletcher.
All right. So this is now the comic relief section of our evening. I wrote 4 responses, each in an individual personality, but I will spare you all of my impressions because, poor faceless wretch that I am, I have no recourse to glasses to tell you who is speaking. This is the second of my parodies here. You may recognize this voice. Do we have any Tao Lin fans in the chat? Tongues out for Tao Lin. Show of tongues. I see we are very recalcitrant to give everybody a free thumbnail. All right, so I'm going to affect Tao Lin's voice, and here we go. My recommendations for Christian McDonough, author of Cunus by Bao Ren. I just finished reading Cunus by Christian McDonough aloud to my cat, Mingus. He hasn't seemed very interested in this book, preferring to play with his new toy. It's a fluffy ball that he can roll across the floor and dribble between his front paws. Mingus is a black cat, but his front paws are white. They look like he's wearing gloves, like a surgeon. When I first adopted him, I wanted to name him Butler. To me, Mingus's new toy, which he's just swatted and chased into a corner of my room, looks like a dead vole, but I don't know if Mingus has ever seen a vole. Mingus trampled over my pillow because I sleep on a bath mat on the floor. I wouldn't read Cunus to a vole, whether it was living or
And people are
dead.
like, dude, what the fuck? Like, how are you doing that?
Box springs are for narcs. Mingus just darted in front of me, chasing his toy like he's really seen a vole, but he's probably busy, so I'll tell you what I thought of Cunus first, and then I'll ask him. I know he can't talk, not even about literature, but if Mingus could, I think he would speak very eloquently in a flowing voice. I fully cured his meow impediment with a few common, easy-to-use kitchen appliances. Okay, there are a couple recommendations I would make to Christian McDonough having read his book Cunus because he sounds so unhappy and confused. My belief that these recommendations will help him is around 50%. I recommend Christian McDonough write nonfiction. Nonfiction will help Christian McDonough keep himself grounded and steadier. That's what I find it does for me. Imagination is like a box spring, and I sleep on the floor with the rooster droppings that Mingus drags in from the yard. I don't mind it. Currently, Christian McDonough writes fiction, specifically autofiction. Autofiction means you keep writing and writing until at some point what you're writing automatically becomes fiction. As I scrolled through the PDF that came in my email, I got the feeling that Cunus is like a book I would have written when I was younger. I don't know how old Christian McDonough is, but he's probably around the same age that I was when I wrote squee, squee, squee. That's the sound a vole would make if you squeezed it in your non-dominant hand. A lot of autofiction writers like Christian McDonough write about their lives, but they write about them in a way that puts what isn't true very close to what is true, sometimes right up against it, which I think produces an unhealthy state of mind. There are a lot of imaginary characters in Cunus that come and go with the narrator's mental state, characters like Jhumpa Lahiri and the President of the United States in my novel, Squee, Squee, Squee. What I mean is, if you write that way, now the reader has to pick and choose what you what to believe is true or not true about your life, and that can be very alienating. It's alienating for both the reader and the writer, but more so for the writer. If he only tells the truth sometimes, the writer has to try harder to make those truths he selected count to the reader. The reader has probably gotten jaded in the meantime. Was Christian McDonough really stabbed by a homeless woman? Was Christian McDonough really raped by an 8-foot tall clown? Is Pinkle Pop real? Can I meet her? I don't know if these things are true, so I don't know how to sympathize with Christian McDonough as an author, and that makes me feel sad in a very specific way. It should make you feel sad too. It makes Mingus sad, I think, but not sad enough that he won't play with his new toy. He's chewing on it now. On the other hand, writing nonfiction keeps you honest, which is why I recommend it. That's because nonfiction involves facts. You need to gather facts to write nonfiction. Gathering facts is called research. Sometimes the facts turn out to be wrong, though, but that's not what's important about nonfiction or facts. The important part about facts is community. Facts come from other people, which is why they're sometimes wrong. But that's also why the facts give you community. Whatever topic you choose, your research has to reflect or address what other people who wrote about that topic have said, even if you're challenging them. Facts are the observations of many different people, so writing nonfiction will keep you in touch with others by necessity. You'll share responsibility for taking care of the facts together, for keeping them updated. They're community property, sort of. So there's like a reciprocity between you and other people who speak and write about your topic. For example, I'm watching a lot of TV psychics like Vincent Jenna and Gary Spivey on YouTube because I want to know more about past lives. I may never meet Vincent Jenna or Gary Spivey. They seem like they're very busy and don't respond to my emails. But I have to consider what they say as if they're being completely sincere. I am in touch, though, especially in the comments, with other people who are engaging with the same past life material simultaneously, and together we'll be exchanging facts and reassessing our beliefs on past lives, a common subject. It's kind of like cleaning up a neighborhood park as part of a community action project, except I'm getting more out of that than a nicer place to sit. Chairs are for narcs. Facts are community action, although I don't believe in community action in any other context. I wrote about that in my latest novel, Quit Publicity. It's about becoming a recluse who uses social media to advertise his books. I recommend Christian McDonough watch YouTube videos about past lives just to start researching. In Cunus, there is a character named Gunji who lived over 1,000 years ago. I would say he was Asian because his whole name is 2 syllables and it's hyphenated. Gunji embarks on a hero's journey, which is unfortunately interrupted by the rest of the book. I think he could have been one of Christian McDonough's past lives. Maybe the writing Cunus induced an automatic past life regression. That's a mistake that I made on page 294 of the book. It was because I wrote this on a EMT trip. That's what happens after a DMT trip. I will write another email to Vincent Jenna about this, and maybe attach a copy of Cunus, if Christian McDonough doesn't mind. Vincent Jenna still hasn't replied to my latest email about whether or not I was ever a vole. I recommend that Christian McDonough also start drawing. I like to draw yantras, which are intricate patterns that have spiritual meanings. My latest yantra is a series of concentric circles entitled Yantra for Using Twitter. The spiritual meaning of that drawing is how to use Twitter or X as a vehicle for enlightenment. It has the same effect as staring at a screen because I used a lot of clashing bright colors close together. I also like drawing gerbils. Gerbils are simple, ovular characters with big eyes and stumpy legs. I once drew a gerbil sitting in bed at night contemplating the futility of life. You can tell it's nighttime where the gerbil lives because a crescent moon is outside its tiny bedroom window. I entitled that drawing, Gerbil Sitting in Bed at Night Contemplating the Futility of Life, because I was very depressed at that time. Even the gerbil looks depressed. Its mouth is almost a crescent moon, and it has furrows in its forehead. Now I eat a high-fiber diet, and my depression symptoms have dissipated. When I lived in Manhattan, I paid my rent sometimes by selling yantras and gerbils to people with money. Not business people, really, but their wives and girlfriends who thought I was sweet and artistic. It was a low-stress job. Being a cat is also a low-stress job, Or maybe I say that because Mingus makes it look easy. By the way, I didn't name him after Charles Mingus. If you want to know why I named him Mingus, then you have to read, when I wanted to name him Butler, then you have to read the essay I wrote for the Paris Review. It's behind a paywall and very expensive. The last drawing I made while I was living in Manhattan wasn't a yantra or a gerbil. It was a picture of a cello, or a conch shell, or a cello that looked like a conch shell. I'll never know because I didn't finish it. I stopped drawing the conch shell to type a message to a friend on GTAT chat that I wanted to die. I want to die, I said. Why do you want to die? My friend asked. I don't really want to die, I said, but only later that same night. My friend already knew that I didn't want to die, though. That's because we had met at a bar sometime between his message and mine. We sat together in a booth at the bar without speaking, looking down at our phones. Eventually, the staff threw us out for not ordering anything. I messaged him as soon as I got home, and he left me on red for a week. We're still close friends today. I think he's a lawyer or a plumber now. So I need to revise my previous recommendation. I recommend Christian McDonough start drawing, unless he's got good friends like that. Those are just a couple of my recommendations. I have more, but people aren't ready for my other recommendations for Christian McDonough, author of Cunus. Overall, I liked it. I felt like I could read it without paying close attention to what I was reading. Several times while I was reading it aloud to Mingus, I got distracted, but if I lost my place, I didn't notice. I mean that as a compliment. What did you think about the Cunus book, Mingus?
That's it, right?
Oh, that's it. That's all. There ain't no more.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Fletcher. You're so good. Your voice is so beautiful and amazing. I'm so impressed every time I hear it.
Thanks. You're not so bad yourself, babe.
Thank you. Okay, I wrote a preface and 4 responses for each of Fletcher's responses, but I'm just going to read the second one that goes with this one. I roam steady and tread untoward, reeling back and swinging forth, never knowing untimely jest and always doing my very best. Coming along with these others I know, and all of them still embrace me so, I think you and wonder what it all might mean if in the end we are set to be such serious fools in bastard disguise who take out their hearts with the knives in their eyes, and sear them sour with a wicked glee, a paling disease, devastating business, this training of thee, last vestiges of our living, and living for loss. These last tributes to nothing, this grasping for naught. Still I turn to you and with sincere feeling and doubt, say to you now, will we have it all out? Will we take it where it needs, or make it all to please, shear away all the shit, or inward further shovel it? In the end, who cares? We'll all be dead anyway. But hey, don't worry, it'll all go away. There's a poem I wrote just for you. It's not really related to the second review. When I first heard the term autofiction, I got really excited because I thought it was as described here, where you keep writing and writing until at some point what you're writing automatically becomes fiction. I was really disappointed when I realized it was just people talking about themselves. Please see my yantra below, far below. It's my response to Kenji Siratori's response. Okay. And now it's Dickie's turn, if you're ready. Or C Hightower.
Hey, yeah, I'm ready. All right, so before I ever read this book, like we had like a brief conversation in the Cunus Room Discord about like for some reason it brought to mind this like massive clown, and Christian was like, well, you're gonna like the book then because that's exactly what you're gonna get. I thought that was kind of cool. But all right, hold on, I had to plug my laptop in. So I kind of thought the other than just clowns, it also reminded me of Alistair Gray's Lanark. So that's what I'm referring to here. So Cunus and Cunus response form a kind of Lanark-like life in disordered books. Alistair Gray's Lanark splits his narrative between the realist, mentally ill artist Duncan Thaw and the fantastical city of Unthank. Cunus splits Christian McDonough between the brute fact of loneliness and longing and the surreal forces that occupy them. Social cruelty and psychic damage inscribe themselves. The grotesque creatures, caves, and meta devices are fantasy embodiments of real disease, much as Lanark's afflictions are. And like the best fantasy, Cunus is playful and angry at once. It jokes, it fears, it lets its characters say he must flee his family, that he cannot bear other people, and then turns that anguish into a shared event. The wider Cunus Response Project, a second book of collective replies, the Cunus line and dramatic readings push this even further. But what makes this book special for me is how directly it confronts mental anguish. When the narrator says he must go away from his family, that he cannot be around anybody, or when he describes the endless rooms full of people who look at him like he's retarded, whom he both lusts after and longs to hear speak truthfully, the pain is unmistakable. I think many of us have felt that combination of shame, desire, and social failure. But Cunus refuses to soften it, instead making fantasy the most honest language available for experiences that ordinary realism can't quite carry. The creature freeing is emblematic. Freeing's composite body, frog haunches, fat boiled tongue, deer's nose, bird eyes, and a crown of human ears belongs squarely to fantasy and horror. It speaks in grotesque first person, promising to touch, rape, and devour, yet also claiming to eat the protagonist's burden so you do not have to worry. Fring is not just a decorative monster. It's a metaphysical parasite, a personification of self-loathing, compulsion, and unwanted intimacy. Clown Mother speaks with authority and anger. She calls Fring out. Shut up with your bullshit, Fring. You just love raping the boy. And she turns on Wolf Girl as well and names the existential nightmare. Clown Mother, Mother Clown, is someone inside the surreal system who both participates and judges, aware that what they are all doing is torture. She's part of a clown dyad. Clowns are archetypal figures of performance, shame, and truth-telling. The one who can say what maybe others won't, but also a figure of humiliation and masks. Making her the Clown Mother wields that full energy to a maternal language. Someone who sees, scolds, and maybe cares, but is also trapped in the same nightmare. Cunus begins in apparent realism. The past meant nothing to Christian O'Donoghue. Christian dismisses history as waste. Why think on the past when the present is already here? And yet the past haunts him anyway. And yes, similarly to Rudy, I'm jealous of this book. I think it's a really good work of fantasy, and I've loved like every minute of it. So well done and happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Dickie. I really appreciate it. Dickie just recently wrote their response, so I haven't written a response back yet, but I'm working on it. So, but yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been great. You've been kind of so supportive of the book and everything, and make lots of posts about it. So it's meant a lot to me. Let me see. David, do you want to go? David Gayman?
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet.
You know my real name. That seems derogatory. What is this?
I only
What the
said
fuck
it 'cause
is that?
India
You
just
know
said
my
it.
real name.
No. India whispered David Gayman.
Yeah, I can
So
get
I said.
Hold on. I gotta turn off Lynn's video that he has on. One moment.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, guys, I'm here. You know, that's not too far away from where I live, actually. That's really, like, I do live right off West Grand Boulevard. That's really close. That's funny. Oh, shit. Yeah. I dox myself every week, don't I? Yeah, 2 blocks from the Motel Museum. Yeah. Ooh, I didn't know the area code shit. No, that's maybe that is or is not my area code. Who knows? Okay. Sorry, guys. So here we go. I'm happy. This is an interesting project. And this was written a long time ago, so some of these kind of things have changed, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna do it. Okay, so I called mine Wade Against a Feather, and it's an Egyptian shit, man. It's like, I forget all the gods. I've been drinking a little bit here, but I was like this notion where it's like, they're going to weigh your soul against the weight of a feather, and if your soul is heavier than that feather, then, like, you're, like, damned forever, or, like, maybe, I forget all the specifics, but it's real bad, and I thought, like, that's such a strict ruling, and it made me think this cunus kind of thing made me think of that, so that's why it's named that way. Okay, so whatever. Cunus is ultimately the work itself and the greater project outside of it, surrounding, but also of, and in some cases in, as well as implicit and unremovable. Cunus is ultimately an immune system, a strange one self-regulated, without need of outside nutrient, yet not self-reliant, not of vacuum. It is a thing impossible without the gaze of others. See, inherent or built-in mechanisms that both render commentary moot and essential at once. It protects itself from criticism with its centralmost caveat, that it is as supposedly an earnest expression, and also an earnest appeal for honesty in reply. That this is authentic, or at least an appeal to authenticity. This is raw interior brought forth out onto the page, ready for judgment. The cover of the book is Chris crucified, so it would follow that either the work is him crucifying himself, or my peers and I writing the responses or doing the crucifixion, although it is, of course, both. But is this possible, to offer oneself up free of handling for inspection? And if it is possible, to somehow report as an agent, not yourself, why would you? Is it truth or raw expression or cynical manipulation? All or none, it welcomes and rebuffs. See, the work itself is the least interesting part of the whole thing, to me. And what is interesting is the question of authenticity, of self-expression, the fulcrum of honesty and revealing that the work's stated intent is. Taken as is, without these arrays of lenses in which to view and refract, and then to reflect ourselves, as it's not possible to remove oneself from carried away aspects of another. Without these, the work is lesser. So with all this like mushy, floaty shit with the self and the truth of self and honesty and authenticity and their expressions with regard to the self, the fidelity of stated canter, or even the possibility of such. It's likely these things have not much mattered, and or are not too fleeting, or are too fleeting and turbulent to hope to express into anything more than an instant of a soul roiling moment that's once agitated, but now briefly still. Is today's time any different? We can at least say that never before has there been such immediate and clear partitioning of being, that we now carry schools of selves, like we certainly always have, but this time manifested in isolate and readily perceivable folios. So, again, I go back to the question of, is this even possible? Is it possible for cunus to be a raw expression of self? Is it possible to intend to present oneself honestly? Is it possible to not put finger to scale? Suppose honesty is only ever reachable by tricking ourselves. Does authenticity require another? Does it require feedback from the world? And with this sort of crowdsourced self, this crowdsourced honesty, cunus is somewhat like a trap, but not a simple one. Chris is the prey at first encounter. He is the one to be butchered and revealed in all his faults and qualities. But Chris is not the prey. He is, whether he intended or not, the bait. The prey is our relations and our rationalizations, and then so expressions to this bait. lamely put, a mirror or cipher, or perhaps better to say some conduit. The biggest takeaway is thoughts of ourselves. Could we do this? Could we be so open? Is this actually open and honest? What does this suspicion say about us, on and on? And we all, the responders, we were calling ourselves that for a bit. I don't know. There was gonna be shirts or something. The responders. So
I'm still
everyone
gonna
you
make
heard
the
read
shirts.
it. You're gonna make the shirts? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a Fallout 76 thing now? It doesn't matter. This isn't in the book. You got to listen here to get this kind of content. We all, the responders, we all were in the same chat. All the participants all sought different angles, vying for novelty. How could we stand out? How could we be most clever or kind or whatever? And so, regardless of any of it, Cunus did prove an engine of expression. Whether these expressions of self or a self maintained for external judgment or this or that, again, lamely, a mirror, a cipher, a conduit. It's a dare, too. What if all the contributors hate it? Would they take the dare and honestly trash it? Though he demands it. Though he demands this honesty from us. We are at least peers, if not friends. Internet friends, a lot of us, for whatever that distinction is worth. And so, should we play into humiliation? Is humiliation desired? It would certainly bring more attention to the project, as would glowing reviews bring attention. So to circle back, it's an immune system. Any commentary, positive or negative, is assimilated into the thing. Who controls the narrative? Can Chris let go of the wheel? Isn't he already doing that? I think the darkest turn would have been if not one of the contributors engaged with it in sincerity. A possibility I doubt, but a possibility nonetheless. That didn't happen, I think we saw. Now here's the thing. I don't think any of this stuff is intentional, but I still have my suspicions. Is there some sort of con in place? And what do you call a con so kind, if so? Despite my inability to fathom not putting a thumb to the scales to not construct, I do feel some type of exposed self here. I do believe him. Against my better judgment, for some reason, I do feel the real Chris, whoever that might be, in Cunus. Now, it's a shame that Hannah's not here, but David Foster Wallace, I roll if you want, said two things that have always stuck with me and kept coming up when I was trying to write my Cunus response, and so I figured I might as well just end with those things, poorly paraphrased. The first one is that sometimes you realize that you are doing nothing but maintaining a statue of yourself, a representation of yourself that you keep clean and you polish and that you hope the world looks at. And the second one is that all anyone can ever see of the real you is just small pieces, like someone looking through a keyhole. And you would have to be crazy to not try and control what gets seen through that keyhole. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was so great. I was so happy when you agreed to be a part of the Cunus Response Project initially. I think you're a pretty cool dude. Okay. Dear David. Good. Dear David, I do feel I tricked myself in writing this book. I thought I was lying and playing it up often enough. And there are lies in the book, and I am a liar. But I came to realize how honest all of it is, or was, as I returned to it. I returned to it many times. It was different each time. I forgot myself. I forgot who I was and who I am. I forgot what I intended when I wrote the book, what I was doing. I was disgusted with myself. After all the responses were in and it was time to begin writing my own, I sent a message to the group chat. Not all of them were in it, but more than enough. That message, though I didn't explicitly state it, was written with David's response in mind. Here it is. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you. When I wrote Cunus, I thought it would never be published, and if it did get published, I figured no one would read it. When I showed it to my previous publisher, he said he enjoyed it a lot because he knew almost no one else would read it. LOL. Obviously, Cunus is an extremely personal book and something that means a lot to me. So to be able to share it with you all and hear all of your different, strange, and unique reactions to it has been incredibly meaningful to me. Even those of you who have disliked it or been offended by it in some way have taken the time to share your thoughts with me, and I greatly appreciate that. Every response has affected me in some way and made me think or realize something more. Soon enough, you'll all get your own responses back. I hope they'll mean something to you too. I wish I could say that Cunus is not a true reflection of myself in some way, but it is. For a while after I wrote it, I convinced myself that it was not, that I was just exaggerating, playing things up, but internally, I often have feelings and thoughts like Cunus. That's not to say I act out on them. I keep most of it all to myself, which is good. When I was younger, there was a time when I would take my feelings out on others in one way or another. One of the first times I read Cunus back, I was horrified and disgusted by it. Like Spez, I even got nauseous reading it. I didn't know what I had done. I struggled with the thought of publishing it for a while, but I'm not too worried about it now. I don't think I'm particularly horrible or awful or disastrous or anything now. I still tend to think that I'm stupid, but that's okay. And all of these things in Cunus I think are common. I think people have thoughts and feelings like these, but don't admit to them or aren't aware of them. Really, it doesn't matter too much. I've moved on. Again, thank you all. Thank you so much. Soon I'll be free of all this muck and shit, and I'll write a very happy little book for you all. I wrote this quite genuinely, but as soon as I sent it, I was filled with fear at how I might be perceived. Well, that was in large part because of this latter portion of the message I didn't include above, after I gave some basic information on the next steps of the project. Also, who would be interested in a shirt? What would our shirt say? Please send ideas. I was thinking maybe it'll say, quote, I Heart Cunus, like a I Heart New York shirt, and on the back a zoomed in image of my penis from the cover. But I imagine many of you might not like this. Or maybe something like, quote, I read 253 pages of psychosexual rape porn therapy and all I got was this t-shirt, end quote. Probably not that, lol. Maybe, quote, Cunus with friends, end quote, or, quote, Cunus responder, or, quote, official Cunus responder, and some image. Or no shirt is fine too. But not only because of my embarrassing shirt idea glee, but because I felt I had lied yet again. David responded with a gif of a character from the game Gears of War, where it zooms out slightly from a close-up, with a look of awe-filled recognition or understanding. I felt something, seeing it. Thinking back on the book recently, I had the feeling I truly recreated myself through/with Cunus. Not to say I'm necessarily an entirely new person, but that the book itself is a kind of living doppelganger, or even a replacement for me as a person. Sometimes I feel as though I don't have to live anymore, don't have to speak or act, because the book is there, and it can do it all for me. I'll be around others, people I don't know, who wait for me to speak to them, and feel perfectly fine being nothing to them, smiling quietly, not knowing anything. Cunus is a little Christian totem, or self-sigil. It is a trap in that way, a trap into my own selfhood, but also an escape. Because it is me, and it is forever tethered to me, I cannot escape it. But because it acts for me, I am free of it. Also, David, your response reminded me. I wrote an essay in college about 10 pages long called The Sartrean Possibility of Multiple Selves, in which I make an argument based upon Sartre's work, incorrectly interpreted. I used some of his earlier work in conjunction with later work which contradicted the former, that an individual body can contain multiple selves simultaneously, and that these selves can be expressed all at once via automatic writing. I had forgotten about it while writing Cunus, but I realize now that Cunus is a clear enactment of this idea. I wrote it about 8 years ago, I think. Sometimes it seems we're destined for certain thoughts or ideas. Artists all have their stupid themes that they can't escape. I am trying to overcome this. Okay, that's it. Okay, Mala, if you still want to go, you can.
Okay, I will. As a final one, I will be brief. If I can just find my phone. Oh, of course, I lost it. So I'll read it off the screen. So my response starts with a quote from the book. The world watches you, Christian, and this is what you do. A novel is a wish list of wounds. Christian explores pain, pain that would justify suffering and insanity. I understand it now. It is not a cure to explore one's pain, to expose it, and it isn't meant to be. Only a sympathetic reprieve, a gentle caress in the midst of the torture that we deserve. The fear of exposure is amplified by its confession, fetishization, a pocket of flesh and ink to hide our secrets in the open. I laughed a lot as well. If you've ever smelled a human corpse, as I have, then you would know how the air stings the lungs and eyes. If you've ever made a corpse, as I have, you would know the memory has a similar effect from the same organs through an altogether separate mechanism. The fantasy is always missing an olfactory element. And while the breathlessness of anticipation is not without merit, the suffocation is. You quickly understand the most visceral part of the experience. I sometimes felt suffocated, holding my breath, patient. When would I be allowed to breathe again? Thank you, Christian. I don't usually read novels because they stick to my teeth like candy. I can't easily brush the feeling off the surface of my mind, and I become exactly what the author wants me to be. I feel like a pussy. A mercenary is like a prostitute in a way, except while the latter deals primarily in their own bodies, the former typically deals in the bodies of others, or their souls, I guess. Anything less than a body must be considered, mulled over. How much would you charge for something heinous, something permanent? I don't think I'm too expensive. Currency is easy to find if you know where to look for it. There are peaks to climb through dense jungle. Mosquitoes inject bacteria under sweat, sticky skin, and muscles long forgotten ache in between. You've told me too much. Now I don't know who you are. What you're trying to convince me you are. You've taught me all the thoughts someone can have about themselves. Now I don't know what I think about myself. I don't know where I begin and the cunus ends. Not anymore. Now I'm guilty of all these thoughts. Now I'm guilty of fatherlessness, of becoming my own father. I am guilty of destruction and onanism and self-destructive onanism and infinite regress and mockery and the segmentation of the tongue from the body, using it as a bookmark. The whole tongue, back beyond where you can see the tongue, continues down and wraps around the stomach. They don't show that part in books, but it's there, tied in knots. You can unravel it for yourself, as was done before me. I like to see how far it would go, how long it could go on, and where it stopped, how he would apologize. And as for the word, well, we all say the word in our heads, even if it is to say that we do not say such words. And an inner monologue without such things would be dishonest, performative. A novel without the word nigger is a lie. And this is closer to a Bible than a novel. It is cope to look for meaning in madness, but if you happen to find it, the misery may be known by all. Thank you.
Thank you all. Before I forget, I wanted to say this. My uncle was in the play. He was like watching the play, and he was talking to me today at lunch, and he was like, "That guy Mala, he must be like a real actor. He's really good. Like you could tell he really he was really
That's
impressed."
awesome. I
Yeah.
am in acting school.
Oh,
But
you
you
are?
know, yeah, low key, low key.
Oh, sweet. That's so cool. I'll have to tell him you said that. Okay, that's awesome. Well, yeah, well, cool. I know a guy who's making a movie, so maybe we could use you.
Hey, let me know. I'll fly out.
Sweet. Okay, okay, I'll read my response. Dear Mala, I wonder if you really have killed people. Some might think it's a ridiculous thing, but I've known people who have killed people. I knew someone who worked for a PMC, said he was out there wasting motherfuckers. I've met many veterans. I met an old woman who bragged about it, smiling cheerfully. It sounded like a lie, like some surreal fiction, but I mean it. And she was really nice, too. I wish people realized this, that people murder and kill and rape, and they're all around us. We might joke like it's impossible, and even when someone really is murdered, it feels so far from us that we could treat it like a joke. They're not grounded, not you, Mala, but them. Not grounded in reality, in possibility. They don't stop to consider the possibility, the inevitability of all the terror that their lives will hold, all they might inflict on someone or cause to occur. Every little person is filled with all kinds of horrible thoughts. You and I know this, Mala. We understand. Are we better off because of it? At least we can laugh. P.S. Thank you for giving me the pass. Okay.
Use it wisely. Use it wisely. Happy birthday.
Thank you. But just want to say thanks, Mullet, for you've been like in the Discord and everything, and like all the readings and everything. So I really appreciate you, just being there for all of that. It means a bunch, and really care
Happy
about
to
it.
be
So
here. Thanks, brother.
thank you. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, everyone, that this went on so long. I probably asked too many people to do this, but I thought this was awesome. It's been like one of the best birthdays I ever had. Kind of is always long and hard. That's okay, but okay. I love you guys. Thank you so much. This is the best ever. You're all so cool and beautiful and perfect, amazing writers. I hope you have a very nice night and sleep very well and have beautiful days tomorrow. And make sure you buy Cunus and the Cunus Response Project and make everyone else you know buy it too.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. See you. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Okay, see you.
Oh yeah, dude.
Okay. All right. Let's just see you guys. Thank you again.
Oh yeah. Good fight. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.